Welcome everyone to the return of Call of Cthulhu for 2021. You're about to experience the first episode of our campaign, puppet shows and shadow plays. Without further ado, let us head into Discord and begin. And how is everyone?
Hello.
So excited. Whoa.
Pretty good.
Very, very excited for the first episode of our Delta Green campaign. Our campaign set in the 90s of modern horror and conspiracy. For those watching on Twitch, welcome. For those watching on YouTube, welcome. And for those of you who are listening on Spotify later, welcome. We hope you'll enjoy the brand new campaign.
Hello, future people.
Welcome from the world of tomorrow.
Ooh, spooky!
Or would it be the world of the past? Because this will be uploaded later.
No, we'll be in the past, they'll be in their present.
Well,
My God, it's too much.
Okay, I like that.
without further ado, let us get right into it. I'm joined tonight by, of course, Liam,
Yo.
M2,
Hello.
Smithy,
How's it going, everyone?
and new to our Call of Cthulhu campaigns, Remy.
Hello, everybody.
Remy.
Before we begin, I'd just like to issue a disclaimer that while we are playing, we practice full immersion, and so anyone who subscribes or raids, while we may not welcome you within the video, we will do our best to make you feel very welcome in chat.
We love you all.
We love you all. And so, let us
Love you all, now
begin.
shut up.
They're okay. You guys are okay, I guess.
It is the 30th of September in the year 1998. And our story begins in the regional branch office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Phoenix, Arizona. We focus in on the windowless, dimly lit briefing room of the Arizona FBI branch. Almost featureless, save for a couple of fold-out white tables pressed together with patio chairs lining each side for the agents being briefed to sit in, flanked by concrete brick walls on either side, a lone whiteboard near the entrance to the room, and completely silent save for the low hum of a fluorescent light bulb that bathes the room in cold light. You're all assembled, sitting around the table, as you've been called in for a briefing, as you're about to be attached to an ongoing investigation. You look around the room, and you take stock of each other. You've all worked here for some time, but some of you only know each other by name. First of all, played by Sabaton Liam, we have the field agent, Knox Smolder. Introduce yourself, please, Knox.
I'm Knox Smolder, and I'm here to discover some more information about the abduction of my baby brother all those years ago. The only thing I have left of him is this teddy bear of his that emits some sort of strange energy. I need to find him.
Remember?
The truth is near.
The truth is near. Played by M2, we have Stanley Baird, the Arizona FBI's tech analyst. Please introduce yourself, Stanley.
What's up, guys? I'm Stanley Baird, but you can just stick with Stanley or Stan the Man. No, I'm just kidding. That probably doesn't happen, actually. I'm your tech guy. You want anything looked at, anything done, you talk to me. Otherwise, just believe me to my work. I'm not bugged.
And while you wait for the briefing, Stanley, are you doing anything particular as you sit at the table?
I managed to bring my own snacks into the room, so I'm casually sitting there eating some chips while fiddling with a small, what the most people would probably think is some high-tech device used for my work is in actuality just a regular Nintendo Game Boy with Pokemon Red slotted in the back of it.
And so, in addition to the hum from the lights, the room is also bathed in... Played by Smithy, we have H.G. King, the forensic anthropologist. Please introduce yourself, Smithy.
The search of truth begins with the remains.
Ooh, I like that. And finally, last but not least, we have the FBI's resident medical examiner, played by Remy, Krillin Tempry. Please introduce yourself, Krillin.
Well, he doesn't say anything. He's just sitting there fiddling while waiting,
Of
looking
course.
around nervously.
Of course, yes, this is...
No one usually disturbs him down in the morgue.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's
where
fair.
I'm at it.
And as you wait and look over each other, the door to the briefing room opens and you hear a loud cough as Special Agent in Charge, Patrick Hobson, enters the room. This tired, haggard-looking man, at least in his mid to late 50s, and surely only a year or two away from retirement, is your boss here at the Phoenix, Arizona branch. And he's known primarily for his smoking habit, managing to down at least a pack a day, and his rather prickly temperament. And as he enters today, he takes one look at you. One look in particular at Stanley, as he regards the Game Boy in Stanley's hand. And then he coughs and throws down a newspaper onto the table. I'll bring that up so you can see it. It is, of course, the National Tatler, a rather ill-regarded tabloid that publishes stories about Bigfoot and aliens and that sort of junk. On the front page today is the headline, "Curse of the Devil's Highway strikes yet again. Police baffle his entire family vanish into thin air." The curse besetting Arizona's State Road 70, dubbed the Devil's Highway by the worried populace who live along its length, looks to have claimed yet more victims as state and tribal police revealed today that they are very concerned about the whereabouts of the Begay family, residents of the San Carlos Indian Reservation. The Begay family, Victorio, 42, Louise, 38, and teen sons Luco and Paco, have been reported as missing from their ranch by concerned friends and neighbours. Nobody has seen or heard from the family since July 26th. Alarmingly, this brings the number to 13, the total number of people who have mysteriously disappeared on or around State Road 70 within the past month. Perhaps the most worrying of all is the news that the police agencies investigating these disappearances appear to have no leads or lines of inquiry which would account for these alarming developments. Officially, a representative from the Arizona Department of Public Safety maintains that police agencies are optimistic of a break, but sources close to the Tatler reveal that privately, the authorities are baffled by this turn of events. Patrick grabs the newspaper. He folds it up and begins to make a show of placing it in the filing cabinet next to him. Then he shrugs and instead tosses it into the wastebasket by the door. He clears his throat. "Any thoughts?" he asks the room.
Do we have any more information that hasn't been released in the newspaper?
He says, He says, yes, well, let's hope they don't get hold of anything else. He flips the whiteboard at the front of the room, revealing a good old-fashioned conspiracy board. Photos of everyone who's gone missing. Several official reports linked by pieces of string and cork. He says, Agent Smolder, people began disappearing near the southern edge of the San Carlos Indian Reservation, west of Phoenix, Arizona, approximately 2 months ago. The first people missed were an elderly couple, the Kirtleys. He points at a photo of a senior-aged man and woman. They were due at their son's home for dinner a month ago. Their car was found on State Road 70 with a flat tire, but there was no sign of the Kirtleys themselves. Next, he points to a photo of a young man with reddish hair and a baseball cap. At a nearby gas station on State Road 70, an attendant, Felix Royos, disappeared while working the night shift 2 days after the Kirtleys vanished. 4 days later, he takes a puff of his cigarette and points to a photo depicting a group of 2 middle-aged men dressed up in outdoor gear and holding fishing rods. 4 days later, Ed Stoltz and Chris Martin, 2 fishermen, were reported missing while fishing on the Coolidge Dam Reservoir, less than 4 miles from State Road 70. Their camp was found abandoned, with no signs of violence or emergency. As the Arizona Highway Patrol and the Apache Tribal Police of the reservation began to investigate, they noticed more disappearances connected to that area. He points to another portion of the conspiracy board depicting two roughly maybe a year or two old station wagon sedans, seemingly sitting in the middle of the desert. The abandoned rental cars of 2 European couples, Rolf Troutner and Frida Ollenberg, and Mr. and Mrs. Van Olsen from the Netherlands, were found 2 weeks ago. Both cars were on the side of State Road 70, and neither showed signs of sabotage or mechanical failure, and yet the tourists were nowhere to be found. He points to one last photo, a photo of a brown-skinned Apache man, his face leathery and weathered with the elements. He says, an Apache sheep rancher, Victorio Begay, as well as his wife and 2 teenage sons, vanished from their beds, leaving their flock unattended for at least a week. The Begay Ranch is within 15 miles of State Road 70. As you could see, the press has already picked up the story. They're dubbing this stretch of road the Devil's Highway. Clears his throat, takes a puff of his cigarette. He says, you're all being brought in, using the jurisdictional pretext that since there were no bodies, the disappearances are kidnappings and not murders. You will be assisting the Arizona State Police and the Apache Tribal Police in this case. Your liaison with the Arizona State Police is a Major Frank Garrett. The Apache Tribal Police liaison is Sheriff John Colorados. They have accepted the FBI's help on this case and will assist you in your investigation, but they have advised that you are not to take over the case, that this case remains under their jurisdiction and you are assisting merely in an advisory capacity. He looks at each of you. Again. Takes another puff of his cigarette and then butts it on the white table in front of him. He says, any questions?
Not really any questions, just more of a request. I would like to personally overview the disappearance of the tourists and check out the vehicle if I can.
He says, of course, good line of inquiry, and I believe that the cars will be stored at an impound lot you'll be able to ask Major Garrett if he'll allow you to see them, and he should if he is willing to assist, as he says. He looks at you once more and he says, "A word of advice. Officially, this is not our case, and so, while you're doing your best to assist both the Arizona State Police and the Apache Tribal Police, try not to make a show of overstepping your bounds. Furthermore, despite the fact that this is not officially our case, I expect to be updated on everything you find. Is that clear?"
Yes, sir.
You got it, boss.
He says,
Still got one question before we go, if that's alright. You mentioned this anonymous person who spoke up. Do we know anything about them, or are they just a ghost in the wind at this point?
He says, the anonymous person who spoke up. Well, we weren't, from what I could tell, he thumbs through the report in front of him. Neither Major Garrett nor Sheriff Colorados was able to follow up on that. They are, for all intents and purposes, like you said, ghost in the wind. He says, normally, we would just be happy we were given a lead, but the fact that this anonymous lead led to us uncovering a string of disappearances, well, it's odd, I'll give you that. He says, my advice would be to stay on guard, and if anything seems out of the ordinary, to do your very best to try to catch it by the balls, at least before the press or the police get a hold of it. He says, either way, make sure you keep your eyes peeled, just in case there's a variable we haven't considered here. He claps his hands together and he says, well, you've been briefed. Only thing remaining is to begin the investigation. Says, Agent Smolder here has me on speed dial, and the rest of you should be able to remember my number. He says, the only question that remains now is who's going to be driving that fairly long road trip to San Carlos. He smiles in what is for him a humorous smile. One of his sole displays of humor that you've seen him make.
I haven't got drive. Has anyone got drive?
Don't think so.
Nope. Does anyone have? Oh, shit.
It shouldn't be that difficult, as long as you stick to the roads.
We're all gonna die before we get there. That car's going up the cliff.
But
you were driving through Arizona and somehow you ended up in the Grand Canyon. What the shit?
But just the same, you should nominate a driver. Just someone who's gonna have the bureau's company car leased out and checked out in their name.
I think that's
Stanley, I was gonna say Stanley gets up and dusts some like chip crumbs off, looks over and goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna nominate Action Man. If you leave me, I'll be getting my stuff." Just walked out of the room.
And I was about to say before everyone leaves, I write down the chief's number so you all probably remember, since I'm the only one that has it on speed dial. I'm a new fancy cellular telephone.
Yes. Cellular telephone that so far only Nox Smolder and Stanley Baird actually have. Perhaps the other two of you should pick up one of these newfangled contraptions, but just the same, Nox copies down the boss's number and hands it to Stanley so he can put it in his phone. And then, as you disperse to gather the supplies you'll need for the investigation, Nox Smolder, you quickly gather from your desk a spare phone battery, phone charger, your sidearm, and a spare magazine of ammunition. And then you make your way down.
Make sure my little, my
Yep.
brother's teddy bear is tucked in my jacket.
Yep, you
With a nice
grab.
little poster that says, "I want to believe."
Yes. You take it out of your desk, briefly look at it, and then put it inside your jacket with everything else. And then you make your way to the parking garage. You place
Is
your.
everyone grabbing stuff or just him?
Everyone's grabbing stuff, so I'm just describing what Nox is doing, and then you'll tell me what you could get. Nox, you head into the parking garage. You quickly present your badge and your identification card to the young lady who handles the checking in and out of vehicles, and she assigns you vehicle number 3, a standard 5-seater black sedan. She smiles at you as she hands over the keys, sliding them under a gap in the plexiglass window. You take them, head to the car, and wait by it as everyone else collects their supplies. So Stanley, what do you grab?
Well, for starters, I have to dig through some of the stuff on my desk to find where I left my sidearm, because I figure if I have to get dragged out in the field, I might as well make sure I put some of that training I got given at the start to use. So, just moving the rubbish and various crap off my desk, dig that one out, grab... now, I have looked this up, and portable laptops were actually a thing in the 90s, so
Yes.
I'll definitely be taking that with me, along with a crap ton of spare batteries, so both that and the Game Boy, and pretty much... my own copy of the, what was it called? The National Tattler.
Yep.
Because obviously, imagine, it just has a collection of just the weird tabloid shit that people expect to see. Just go, I'll probably do. Go to leave and then go, wait, nope, snacks for the road. Grab another random packet of chips out of my desk and head downstairs.
And you arrive in the parking garage hauling all this stuff, including a Toshiba laptop that's about 5 centimeters thick. And Nox...
Like, you look at, Nox with, I'm guessing is probably well buttoned up with, suit jacket, very, very much X-Files. And then there's, Stanley is, heavy step wearing glasses with a friggin' Nirvana t-shirt and jeans, looking pretty much like he just wandered into the building by accident.
Nox just watches you with bemusement as you slowly place all of these objects into the boot of the car, save for your Game Boy and a spare set of batteries, as I'm sure you plan to get some Pokemon training in on the drive up.
Gotta do something on the road.
Dr. Temporary and H.G. King, is there anything in particular you grab from your desk at the bureau before heading out?
A full field kit of anthropology gear.
Yep.
So that if we do come across any bodies, I am well prepared for an analysis.
So that will include some chemical analysis strips, some fingerprinting tape, ultraviolet light. That'll definitely come in handy. And I think Remy is BRB, unless
No, I'm
you're
back.
Yep. So is there anything you take, Dr.
Krillin
Temporary?
goes back down to the morgue and just grabs the field kit
Yep.
and puts on a white lab coat and picks up his biology textbook.
Yep. So you grab all of your necessary books, a portable field kit containing scalpels, test tubes for placing specimens, and some surgical tools that will allow you to perform basic autopsies out in the field. And then you put on one of your white lab coats, hopefully trying to find the one with the least amount of blood spatter on it. And then you head out and join everyone else in the parking garage. Nox unlocks the car, takes his seat in front of the steering wheel, and waits for the rest of you to climb in. And then, wordlessly, he guns the engine and begins to maneuver the car out of the parking garage, out onto the streets of Phoenix. And thus, the 3-hour drive to San Carlos Reservation begins. Nox Smolder, I would like you to make a drive auto check with advantage, please, just to start.
Oh, that's good. Dice.
First roll.
First roll of 2021. It's gonna be a set the tone for the entire campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, a 2.
Lovely. So, you manage to pick the closest main highway. Ironically, in this case, it's Arizona State 70, stretch of road that all the disappearances have occurred upon. And sticking to this road, you should be able to arrive at the reservation, at least in the early afternoon. Just the same, in order to save a bit of time, would someone else like to conduct a navigate check? And you may do it with advantage, as Nox has found the most direct highway there.
Does anyone else have to navigate?
I have 10.
Just say they really should have thought more into this team before putting half the tech crew on here. We are not built for the outside world. Put us back in the basement.
Put you back in the basement. Very well. It's not necessary.
Are you sure? Because now I feel like it really is.
Well, someone
If
could
I
attempt.
fail, is that going to fuck everyone over?
No.
Okay, I'm going to try. Fuck it.
Yeah,
Go
for
ahead.
it.
You may do it with advantage because Nox is making good time on the highway.
So what highway are we traveling on? I'm just looking at the stream.
I got a 2.
Arizona State 70. That big highway in the middle.
I need to
Oh, and you
share
got a
this
2 as
picture.
well. Nice.
I got a 2 and a 29.
Ah, lovely.
Damn.
So you got it.
The dudes for the day.
As Nox drives, you notice a map in the glove compartment, and you pull it out and you quickly offer it to the other two, and they just look at it, raising their hands, like, they're just surprised they're out of the basement. And you unfold the map, and you do your best to chart a route along Highway 70, verifying that Nox is indeed on the most direct route, but just the same, as you manage to show him a couple of smaller, less travelled roads off the highway that will allow you to save just a little bit of time. And this will come in handy later, as you'll have more time to investigate things.
Meanwhile, all you can hear in the back seat's just this lovely.
After studying the Atlas,
Map.
map, Krillin just leans over his shoulder and watches him play. Completely oblivious to personal bubble.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, Stanley probably doesn't care. Although he probably smells strongly of like Cheetos and Doritos and stuff. So, just under 3 hours later, you pull into the limits of San Carlos Indian Reservation. Your map marks it as a town, but it's not really much of a town. Rather, a scattered collection of farmsteads and trailers scattered over a vast expanse of empty fields, grazing land, patches of wasteland, and here and there what appear to be piles of trash just left out in the open. You head into the quote-unquote main street of the town, which is nothing more than a couple of municipal buildings, a police station, and a general store, with a motel that advertises itself as having vacancies, with a very dusty, weather-faded sign rounding out the small strip mall. And you pull in to the tiny parking lot of the Apache Tribal Police Station, which has been repurposed into a field outpost for the Arizona Police. You climb out, step out onto the asphalt, take your fill of fresh air, and then head inside the small building. A brown-skinned Apache woman mans the reception counter. She is obviously bored as she thumbs through a magazine and chews bubblegum, blowing a bubble that pops as she looks up and sees you enter. She clears her throat, and she says, "I guess you're here to see either Sheriff Colorados or the feds."
I just pull out my badge. Looks small to FBI.
She says, "Oh, more feds. Well, I'll let them know you've arrived." She reaches for a phone next to her, loudly dials a number as you can hear the phone loudly beep with each key she presses. And then she simply says, Yes, sir, Sheriff and Major. Feds from FBI, from the Bureau you said it was?
Yes,
And that'd be in Phoenix, if I recall."
that is correct, ma'am.
She says, "They're waiting for you out in the lobby." "Alright, I'll tell them to wait." She hangs up the phone. She gestures to a row of 5 very uncomfortable-looking steel framed chairs with small leather seats attached to them, and says, "Please, just wait. The Major and the Sheriff will be out shortly."
Thank you.
Do you take your seat, or do you just stand around?
I'm gonna stand.
I go and sit.
I'll go sit.
Yep. You gonna get out your Game Boy, or is this not the...
No, I'm on the job. I'm on the job now. I'll put it away for now.
Nox, as you were standing, I'd like you to make a spot hidden check, please.
Sweetly. That is an 18, which mine is spot hidden, just a pass.
As you wait around in the lobby, you notice several newspaper clippings pinned to the notice board just behind the receptionist's desk. It appears to be a collection of newspaper articles regarding the recent disappearances. And it appears that the National Tatler was correct, that altogether there are 13 people who have been recently unaccounted for. However, these newspaper articles are a bit more credible and provide background on each of the disappeared people. The first being Alan and Karen Kirtley, the elderly couple, owners of Dun & Reddy Roofing Company, employing 30 full-time employees in the area of Santa Fe, New Mexico. They were not locals to the area and were simply driving through to visit their son in Phoenix. Felix Royos, a Hispanic male, aged 20, high school dropout, who worked alone at a nearby gas station. He was working a night shift alone on the night of his disappearance, and nobody saw him in the hours leading up to his disappearance. The Stoltz couple, Edward Stoltz, 32, a mechanic for Greyhound bus lines. Both men were natives of Phoenix and had come down. Both men, Ed Stoltz and Chris Martin, were natives of Phoenix who went to the same high school. They went fishing on the Coolidge Dam Reservoir at least once a month. The newspaper article makes sure to point out that the men's belongings, including their fishing and camping gear, is currently in the possession of the Arizona State Police. The 2 Dutch couples, whose cars were abandoned, have little background provided from them, and neither had any friends or relatives in the United States. The reason for their disappearance is unknown, and it appears they were simply passing through the area at the time of their disappearance. The most notable of the disappearances, and the most recent, appears to be the Begay family of Victorio Begay, an Apache rancher, and his wife and children. who apparently disappeared from their ranch just off the highway and were missing for several weeks before the alarm was raised. As you finish taking in this information, the door behind the receptionist's desk opens, and out steps a rather heavy-set man wearing a leather vest, cow-skinned boots with spurs on the end of them, and a slouching cowboy hat. The revolver holstered on his belt and the Arizona State Police badge on his vest, coupled with the graying moustache on his weather-bitten face, make him appear to be all the cowboy anachronism that he is clearly playing up. Standing beside him is a brown-skinned Apache man wearing a formal police uniform. The cowboy walks up to you. He holds out his hand and he says, "Major Frank Garrett, Arizona State Police."
I extend my hand. Sorry.
Yep, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Knoxmore FBI. So what exactly have we got going on here?
He holds out his hand to anyone else who'd wish to take it before he answers you. Does anyone else shake his hand?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll dust off my hand and shake it.
Lick the fingertips so they're not so dusty anymore.
No, I did that in the car just to try and clean up a bit.
You shake You shake Major Garrett's hand. You find his grip to be unusually strong. He shakes your hand. He takes a look at you and Dr. Temporary and H.G. King, and he says, Bureau decided to send out the eggheads, I see.
They're the best agents in their field, and I trust them.
He gestures to the man next to him. He says, "This is Sheriff John Colorados with the Apache Tribal Police. He's been assisting on this case." Sheriff Colorado simply nods. Major Garrett clears his throat and he says, "Well, I assume you've been briefed. 13 disappeared, unaccounted for. Their cars found abandoned along the side of the highway. No sign of any bodies, blood, any biological materials. In the case of the fishermen, their camping and fishing gear has been taken in and has been locked up in storage." He says, "But we've not been able to find anything." He says, "What's your take on it?"
Well, in my experience, you can't rule anything out. By you, if it's alright, I'd like to examine a few of the cars.
He says, "The cars, yes, left by the German couples." Does anyone point out his mistake by calling them the German couples?
Oh yeah, that's right. Are they Dutch?
Yeah. He says, waves his hand. He says, "Dutch, German, same thing. The Europeans, yes. Their cars and the car of the older couple, Kirtley's, got him locked up in the impound out back." He gestures towards the door that he stepped through. Says 2 fishermen have their gear locked up in the evidence locker. You'll see it on your way there. He says, "Anything you'd like to add, Sheriff Colorados?" Mr. Colorado shakes his head. He says, "No, I think they have it all tied up. Except, I will tell you this, federal agents. This is not your case, and folks in this part don't take kindly to white people. Least of all, white feds stepping around poking their nose in where they don't belong. So while we appreciate your assistance, you best remember, this case happened on my jurisdiction, and this case is not yours to take over."
We should walk around walk on eggshells.
You should tell us how you really feel, huh, Chief?
The inner monologue going again.
Now, I would like each of you to make intelligence rolls, please.
That is a 45,
Oh,
which is a
hey.
normal pass.
That's a 9. That's a crit pass.
That's a crit
Normal
pass.
I got a hard pass.
So altogether a group pass. You quickly process the information, and you determine that there are 3 possible leads you have that you can follow at the moment. The first is, as of Nox suggested, to examine the cars. The second would be to examine the personal effects of the 2 fishermen. And the third would be to pay a visit to the ranch owned by the Gay family. As the ranch, according to the notes you were presented during your briefing and the summary provided by the 2 sheriffs just now, has not been thoroughly searched. As such, there might be more clues there that the local police did not manage to see, and they're no doubt less thorough than federal standards search of the property.
I think it would be a good idea if HG King, pardon me, he got a bit of gas, looked at the fisherman's items and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
With your
Krillin.
forensicness.
Yeah, Krillin would be good at any of those because he has forensics and pharmacy and biology. So any of those would be good for him.
Okay, so perhaps Krillin and HG King can investigate the belongings of the fishermen, while Nox and Stanley check out the cars. Or furthermore, Stanley, in your case, it also comes to your attention that there may be phone records, at least in the case of the fishermen who appeared to be staying in this area at the time of their disappearance.
Good thinking. I might actually ask the guys about that just quick. Yeah, you guys got any phone records I could look at? Just try and see if there's anything else I can add to this case.
They have a think for a moment, and then John Colorado bows his head and he says slowly, "I think we could have them pulled. Of course, we'll need legal justification."
I'll go get the phone.
I would like you, Stanley, to please make a law roll.
Yeah, that's not great. I don't have law.
Alternatively, we could probably substitute a... let me see. We could probably substitute an electronics roll to explain how phone records might allow you to triangulate a location.
Yeah, that'll work. And that's 58. That's just a pass.
Oof, nice.
Beats the living crap out of trying to go with 5% for a law check.
You explain to them that although it may seem an invasion of privacy at first, that a number of times in your work for the FBI, you've used phone records to help triangulate someone's last known location, and you explain to them briefly how this can be done. John Colorado shrugs and he sighs and he says, "Well, I don't appreciate snooping around in the private matters of my people, but I think we could swing it. If you'll accompany me, we'll head straight out to the switchboard and see if they can provide anything."
Alright.
He gestures for you to follow him, and then escorts you out the front door. As you're about to leave, Major Garrett raises a hand. He says, "Oh, I figured this investigation might take a long time, so I took the liberty of booking you 2 rooms at that motel down the road."
Thank you, Carly.
He says, "Be sure to ask in my name, or just flash your badge, whatever you suits. Think gets people to open their doors." He then motions for the rest of you to follow him as he leads you out of the lobby and through a small workroom with a couple of desks manned by 2 or 3 tribal officers. They look overworked and tired, clearly not able to make any progress on this case. He escorts Krillin and H.G. King to the evidence locker, a small metal door just on the opposite end of the workroom, retrieves a key from around his neck, unlocks it, and says, "Knock yourself out, boys," as he pushes open the door. Then, he walks with Nox Mulder past the evidence locker to the back door of the building, pushing it open and flooding the small workplace with sunlight as he escorts you out into what he calls the impound yard, which is in all actuality just a square of concrete where 3 cars are parked under a corrugated iron shelter, sand and dust blanketing their covers. So we shall go first with our forensic boys, H.G. King and Krillin Temporary, as you step into the evidence locker, a cramped, almost closet-sized room. Flanked, its concrete walls flanked with iron shelves that are almost full to the brim of assorted evidence, none of it looking like it's been catalogued in any meaningful way. A fluorescent light brightening up the room with a low humming sound. First of all, you're going to have to make sense of all of this assorted junk that has definitely not been catalogued in any meaningful way, and I would like both of you to please make either library use checks or hard spot hidden checks.
I think I'll go library use.
I'll go library as well.
Go ahead.
Can I use 1 luck point to make that a pass?
Sure, you can.
That is a hard pass for me.
Hard pass. You look through the shelves, spending about 20 minutes sorting through all of the various evidence. Old undeveloped film, empty cameras, confiscated firearms, until you finally find what appears to be a tackle box, a folded up tent, and 2 small fishing rods stashed away in a dark corner at the very back of the room. You wouldn't have been able to see them had you not shifted away a veritable pile of junk that had been haphazardly placed in front of them. You lay them out on the floor in front of you and begin to conduct a cursory investigation of them. Is there anything in particular you would like to do it, or anything in particular you would like to look for?
Just trying to get a bit more of a idea of if there was anything there that gives more information about them, or why they might have been targeted, or...
Very well. So
look to see.
Yep, go ahead, Remy. What would you like to look for?
I would like to see if they're damaged in any way that does not look like wear and tear.
Very well. I would like H.G. King to please make an anthropology check as he sorts through their belongings and tries to sort through their personal effects to get an idea of the kind of people they were. And I would like Krillin Temporary to please make either a hard spot hidden check or a mechanical repair check.
That is an extreme.
Pass on your anthropology? Lovely.
Mechanical repair, gotta find it. Oh, yeah. What hidden it is then? Come on.
Oh, or you can do a natural world check if you like. Because that...
What's my natural world? Just a normal natural world?
Yes, because that covers, like, the outdoorsman type stuff as well.
That's. Can I try and push that?
Yeah, you can push it.
I got a 68, so that's not going to work. Natural. Come on. 28, so that's a normal pass.
Normal pass. Okay, first of all, HG King, you sort through their personal effects and IDs, and sort through their wallets, look at the couple of photos of their families they've brought with them, try to get an idea of who they were. They seem to be relatively normal working class men. One of them, Ed Stoltz, was, as you heard before, a mechanic for the Greyhound bus lines, married to a Laverne Stoltz with one child, Timothy. His friend, Chris Martin, was apparently an assistant manager at the True Value hardware store. These are true salt of the earth guys, and they were probably just out here for a peaceful holiday, nothing more. There's nothing that indicates they would have had any enemies or any ulterior motive for being out here. Meanwhile, Krill and Tempry, you notice that most of their gear is intact and undamaged, save for one of the fishing rods, which appears to be bent in an unnatural way, bent in a way that would not occur during fishing, and indeed, the fishing line at the end of it appears to have snapped off, as if broken off via some impact. Upon closer examination, you find a tiny red speck on the end of the fishing rod, mixed in with a couple of scratches, which would almost seem to indicate that someone attempted to use this fishing rod as a makeshift weapon.
Can I do a biology check on it?
Yes, however, this blood is dried, so it will be a hard biology check, please.
Or is it possible to maybe store it in a way to rehydrate it later?
It's
in
it's probably degraded too much to get any DNA at this point, but you could at least probably examine the tiny blood spatter and get, some idea of whether it's likely to be their blood or someone else's.
Yeah, I'll try for it then. That is a 19, which is a hard pass.
Take a look at the small speck of red, and you determine that it is indeed a fleck of blood, and the angle on which it splashed onto the fishing rod suggests that it's not actually from an assailant, but rather it was from the fisherman. It was from the fisherman himself, and that as he was holding the fishing rod in front of him, perhaps using it to defend himself, that he must have had some sort of wound that was gushing blood everywhere. Quite some distance, too, if it reached the end of the fishing line.
Interesting.
That seems to be all you can glean from their personal effects, however.
People losing that much blood don't normally survive.
Yes, you know this to be true. Meanwhile, we cross to Knox Smolder, who examines the three cars. Major Garrett reaches into his vest pocket and he hands you a key ring containing the keys for all three of the cars. He takes a step back, leans against a pole holding up the corrugated iron roof, and he says, "Do what you do, son."
Thank you. Sorry. Take the keys from it and expect the Dutch tourist car first.
Alright, I'd like you to first of all make a spot hidden check.
Looking outside before I look inside.
While Liam is doing this, I will be right back.
Can I push that?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. And that is just a pass.
Okay, you do a cursory examination of all three of the cars. It takes about 40 minutes to an hour. First, you examine the outsides. You find that aside from some dust and sand and a couple of scratches that you would expect from the harsh environment in this area. There doesn't appear to be any damage on the outside of the car. You check the insides, and you're equally as stumped when you find nothing out of the ordinary inside the cars. There is no sign of disturbance, no sign of a struggle, and everything is as it should be, complete with the former occupants' wallets and identification left in the glove compartment.
I would like to check under all the spaces underneath the seats for anything.
Ah, a good choice. Okay, first of all, I would like you to make a strength check to manage to lift up the seats on your own.
That is a 30, which is a pass.
Very well. And now, make a spot hidden check, please.
A random question, Liam. What's your spot hidden at?
My spot hidden is 25.
Maybe I should have gone along to look at the card. This one's actually at 50.
You'll be fine. You'll be getting something useful.
I know.
And also, speaking of which, that's a hard pass. That was an 11.
Damn.
Very well. You pull up the seats, and at first you find nothing. Some dust, some old rubbish, McDonald's wrappers. You're about to give up, but then something glistens in the sunlight and catches your eye underneath the seat of one of the cars belonging to the tourist couples. You look down and you find it so small that it would have been easily missed if you didn't just catch that glint in the corner of your eyes. It appears to be some sort of tiny spine, like a thorn of a plant, coloured in a dull grey colour and no longer than a centimetre. About as thick as your thumbnail, but the end of it is very, very sharp. So sharp that as you pick it up, it pricks through the upholstery on the seat and makes a small pinprick hole.
Can I just by looking at see what it's made of? Is it organic?
Make a natural world check, please.
Okay, come on.
So this might be a job for the Egghead group.
Perhaps.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, and that's a fail. I just wanted to.
Yeah. You
That's
can't tell for sure, but yes, it probably is organic. It looks like something you would find on a plant.
Okay. Is the chief looking in my direction?
Make a luck check, please.
That is. I forget. Can you? No, you can't push.
You can't push luck checks.
Well, that's a fail.
He's watching you intently, and as you climb out of the back of the car, he notices the tiny object grasped between your thumb and index finger, and he frowns and he says, "Oh, what you got there?"
Yeah, it just seems to be some sort of spine of a plant. I think I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I was going to take it to the eggheads that are looking in the other areas and seeing if they can make heads or tails of it.
He comes over to you and he leans forward. He says, "Mind if I take a look?"
Just be very careful. It's really sharp.
He grabs it, and as he grabs it, you notice the tip of his forefinger is pricked by it, and a tiny drop of blood rolls down. He swears under his breath and then looks at you sheepishly, as you did tell him to be careful.
You were warned, dumbass.
He holds it between his thumb and forefinger, and he looks at it, and then he inserts it into his vest pocket, and he says, "Well,
Damn it.
I'll pass this to the boys back at main headquarters and see what they make of it. Good find."
Oh, dang.
Hold on one sec. I believe. I'd like to roll for a fast talk to try get him to give it to us so the others can examine it.
Good idea. Go ahead and make a fast talk check.
And that is a hard pass. That
Hard
is a bloody
pass.
12.
So you
I'm-
make up something about jurisdiction. You make up about how there's some loophole that even if it's technically not your case, because you found this evidence, that you do get to pass it along to an FBI-affiliated forensic examiner first. And he looks a bit frustrated, but eventually he goes along with it. He groans, he reaches into his pocket, and he thrusts the object at you.
Alright, gently take it for a moment. And, do I have any forensic bags on me, or?
Yes,
or
you
would
will.
that
It's
just
part
be
of your standard investigators kit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to double bag it so it doesn't prick me.
Sure. You double bag it and then place it in your pocket, and satisfied there's nothing else to be found in the cars, you nod at the major and head back inside. Meanwhile, Stanley Baird and Sheriff John Colorados, you've travelled about a block up the main road to what is optimistically described as a utilities centre, which is little more than a small white brick building surrounded by chain link fencing, with a logo of a major phone, with the logo of a major phone company emblazoned on a sign at the gate. The sheriff knocks on the gate and calls out, and eventually a technician wearing denim overalls emerges from the small white building. The sheriff quickly explains that you're here from the FBI to examine phone records relating to the missing people, and that they may be used to pinpoint their last known locations. The technician listens, bored, and then he just shrugs and he says, "Okay, but you find anything? I appreciate it not getting back to my employers. Rather than not know, I just watch the game on TV when I'm supposed to be watching the switchboard."
And just pat the pocket where I know my Game Boy is going. Don't worry, buddy. I know that feeling. Your secret's safe with me.
He leads you into the small, cramped switchboard building. There's barely enough room to move in here. What little room is not taken up by the switchboard is almost entirely taken up by a large wood-grained TV and cabinet that's been shoved into the corner of the room. The technician takes a step back, pressing himself against the wall, and he gestures to the switchboard. He says, "It's all yours. I assume you know what you're doing."
Sure, let's go with that. Hell of a setup you got here, buddy.
He directs you to a toolbox attached to the brick wall. You open it, and there's an adequate amount of tools here that you will be able to get inside the switchboard and pull one of the modules and at least get a record of all of the recent phone calls made in this area. I would like you to please make an electronics check, please.
That's a pass. 30 out of 60. No, actually, the 30 out of 60, that's hard pass.
Hard pass, lovely. You bend down and you open the compartment underneath the switchboard. You climb in and bury yourself in a massive wires and circuitry. And you spend about half an hour locating the switchboard's main module. And you unfasten some bolts, reroute some wires, and press a button, and it lights up. And then there's a whirring outside as a printer next to the switchboard begins to print out a nearly endless wreath of paper that's covered in phone numbers. You extricate yourself from the wires, close the compartment, and walk over to the printer. The technician and the sheriff both look at it. Their eyes their eyes wide in a way that suggests that neither of them have the ability nor the inclination to make heads or tails of this just seemingly endless mass of numbers that's been printed out.
And they'll look at it, crack knuckles, and go, "Yeah, watch and learn, boys. I'll get this sorted out for you."
Okay, I would like you either to make a science mathematics check or a hard intelligence check.
Science, mathematics. Mathematics. Ooh, this could be interesting. So what was the other option?
A hard intelligence check.
Hard intelligence. It's not impossible. And that's a 29, so that's a pass.
There, lovely. You spend about 10 minutes thumbing through the reefs of paper, trying to make sense of all the numbers, and eventually you determine that they're encoded forms of private phone numbers. A cursory form of security to prevent anyone from just pulling people's phone numbers and harassing them. And you eventually locate a sheet of paper that has the listed phone numbers of a number of the missing people. You compare them to your notes, you make sure that they're the correct numbers, and then you begin to compare the numbers to a map of this phone tower's coverage to try to determine where exactly these calls were made. I would like you to make a navigate check, please.
Navigate. Ooh. Okay, that one's gonna be a little bit tougher. Can I push that?
You can.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that one to somebody else to have a look at.
You take a look at the map, and you can't quite pinpoint where the phone calls were made. There must have been something wrong with your calculations. The technician eventually comes and tries to help you, and he works for all of 10 minutes before he throws his hands up in the air and turns around, turns on the TV and folds his hands, and he says, "Well, I'm paid to watch the lights blink, not work with maps."
Well.
Alternatively, you may attempt a hard intelligence check, although this will lead you with information that's perhaps not as precise.
I mean, I could try and let someone else have a look later.
Good idea. That said...
So, huh?
That said, you'll have to, ask if you can take these records with you. And the map as well.
That's gonna be an interesting one. We can go... Actually, would I be able to put this information on my laptop? Or would I have to ask them?
Yes,
I could just say I'm just, like, put down some information. I'm not physically taking the stuff with me.
Yeah, so first of all, I would like you to just make an appearance check.
How's appearance at? Ooh, yeah. Ooh, that's a hard pass. It's a 15.
You tell them that you'll need a bit of computer assistance for this one, and you spend 5 minutes setting up your laptop, placing it on the table next to the papers and the map. And then you start to carefully copy the information into a document on your laptop, directly plugging a cable into the switchboard module to download it right into your computer. I'd like you to make a computer use check with advantage, please.
That's more like it. Well, both of those are passes, but I will take the 29 for a hard pass, thank you.
Lovely. You wait for a few moments and you just tap aimlessly on the keyboard to pretend you're doing something else.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
then when the alert pops up on the screen, you quickly slam your laptop shut, pick it up, and say, "Well, that was enlightening. Thanks for that."
Yeah, I'll do what I can, and guess I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for your help, guys.
The The technician shrugs and he escorts you and the sheriff out, and you make your way back to the police station. Eventually, you all convene once again in the office of the police station. The three uniformed tribal police officers finally having been relieved, and you commandeer their desks. You quickly bring each other up to date on what you've found, and make a decent late lunch. It is about 3 p.m. on some snacks you brought with you and some pre-made sandwiches out of the police station vending machine. And then you discuss what you would like to do. Of course, you do have Major Garrett and Sheriff Colorados with you, as, like it or not, they are part of this investigation.
I can't really mention the fact that I have the information with me without letting them know.
Yes, so you would need to wait until you're away from them. But
Yeah.
that said, do you guys share everything you found in your separate investigations just now?
Yeah, because I was going to say I could share the little spine because they know I have it.
Yes, they do know you
Yeah.
have it.
They do.
Pull out the little spine and you offer it to H.G. King and Krillin Temporary to take a look at. Who would like to look at it first?
I can have a look at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
H.G. King, you carefully take the spine. I would like you to first of all make a natural world check.
Here we go. Nope.
You can tell that it's organic, but not exactly what it's from. However...
Krillin try a natural world?
Yeah, go ahead. Krillin could try natural world.
That's exactly 40. That's exactly a pass.
Lovely.
Hey.
So you
Oh,
take
that was
Big money.
you take a look at it, Krillin, and you determine it is most certainly not a spine from a plant. Rather, it more resembles like an insect stinger or some sort of venom gland from an animal. It's definitely organic, but the size of it means it's definitely from an animal that you don't know. But based on a hunch, you decide to place it in your forensics kit and slowly dissect it. I would like you to make a forensics check, please.
I'm just looking ever so intriguingly over his shoulder.
That is a critical pass, because that was a 3.
Ooh.
Alright, Dale,
Yep.
I'm not going to lie. When you said small sharp spine, I immediately just thought Glucky.
Yeah, I knew you would. Cut it open, and you find that inside the spine, or whatever it is, appears to be hollow. And everyone else crowding around the table now, leaning in to have a look. You notice that it's almost empty, save for a tiny trace of some kind of white liquid right at the very base of the spine.
I do a biology check to see what it is.
Yes, you may. Go ahead and make
Well,
a biology check.
Well, would biology be better than forensics, or...?
No, biology.
I mean, they're both the same for
Yeah.
me, so...
Biology would be better based on what you're doing.
That is a 21, which is a hard pass.
You extract the liquid and place it between 2 microscope slides. You insert it into a microscope and take a look. And you determine one thing. Whatever this liquid is, whether it be venom or something else, it's not biological, at least in the sense that you're aware of. Well, it has very basic similarities to, say, reptile or insect venom, the cellular makeup of it is very different, and the proteins are arranged in a way that you've never seen before. Perhaps
Can I
a
do a-
chemist might glean some more information.
Can I do a pharmacy check?
Ah, yes, you may do a pharmacy check. But, yeah, go ahead, do a pharmacy check.
You have to do my chemicals and stuff with my...
That's a 38. Can I spend 3 luck points to make that a hard pass?
Sure. And while you're doing it, I would ask HG King to make a science check, please.
Science.
That is a hard pass.
Okay, so 2
Oh
hard
my God.
passes. You both
Damn.
spend the next hour or so as everyone else reconvenes back to their desks and discusses what to do next, poring over this strange substance and trying to discover just what the hell it is. And
just,
the more you study it, what do you do, Nox?
So I just look at old mate who accompanied me to the cars. Yeah, you said that I saw that thin prick. You might want to go get a blood test and see if nothing's in your system.
Oh shit, that's a good idea.
That is a good idea. Yes.
Send it over to me to do a blood test if you want.
I would,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll do that. I'd like you to make a,
Jenny.
Or King.
I'd like you to make a persuade check first. But however, as you are about to tell him, HG King does inform you that the amount of this substance in the spine means it's unlikely that any would have been injected into his skin. Just the same, though.
Safe and sorry with unknown substances.
Yeah.
Yep.
We all know what happened to Johnny.
Yes.
Well, we don't actually. We don't. Who the hell's Johnny?
Yeah, no, we don't.
Do I have persuade? Crap, I don't. Very niche team.
Yes.
Yeah, we have our specific skills, most of which don't involve finding things, and definitely don't involve
50 in spot
being
hidden.
able to talk to people.
Yeah.
And that was a 6. He immediately goes red in the face and he looks at you with what seems to be a flicker that says, "Oh shit!" And then he quickly swaps his face back to its usual mask of bravado. He laughs and says, I'm sure I'll be fine." And then he says in a lower voice, "Just the same, though, I'd best pay a visit to the dock on the way back to the motel tonight."
Why doesn't he want to get a blood test here?
Well, you don't...
Because he's a country sheriff. He's
Yeah,
very much my way or the highway.
Yeah.
I would like to press the fact that he's not willing to have get his blood test here.
You get
I
the
think
idea...
it's the case.
Yeah, I was going to say, you
Sorry.
get the idea that he's not hiding anything, he just is
local.
set in his ways and wants to do it his way.
Yeah.
But you can still push
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so he's a local boy. He wants to go. We're like literally out of town of folk. He'd rather go to the dock he's probably been seeing his entire life rather than random guys who just popped in out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'd just like to explain to the fact is, like, look, we don't know what we're dealing with. We've dealt with things like this before. I'd just like to be double certain and see it with my own eyes.
As you say this, Sheriff Colorados stands up and he gives a stern look to Major Garrett, and he says, "You won't find any doctor capable of a blood test here on the reservation. I suggest you take advantage of these people's offer." Major Garrett sighs. He says, "Fine. Get one of the eggheads to give me the prick later." Meanwhile, the 2 eggheads are carefully examining this substance under the microscope. And, first of all, HG King, you determine that this chemical appears to be some sort of tranquilizer. That there are enzymes in it that are designed to directly interface with someone's nervous system. perhaps to immobilize them or incapacitate them. However, as the two of you examine more, you begin to realize just how strange this liquid is. Further examination reveals that the tranquilizer exists nowhere in nature, and it does not appear to be known to science, at least not to the science that either of you understand. Some of the elements in its makeup appear to be unidentifiable and are perhaps not native to this Earth. I'd like both of you to make sanity checks, please.
Oh, okay. So, how do we do sanity checks again?
So
sorry?
you roll as if you're doing a normal check, except sanity is the skill.
Okay.
Off to a good start.
I got 63 and my sanity is 65, so what does that mean?
That means you passed.
Just pass.
Hey.
So
There you go.
if you passed, you lose 1 sanity.
Okay.
If you failed, you lose 1d4.
Okay, so I passed.
Here as well.
Would it be possible for me to replicate a crude form of this substance? If I was to go back to a proper lab at some point?
If you had access to, say, the FBI's proper forensic lab, then maybe. However, with the unknown elements, you suspect it would be very difficult. Just the same, you do know that the lab at the FBI headquarters is far better equipped, and so if you wanted to send this sample back to headquarters and see what they could glean, that is an option too.
Yes.
After Krillin suggests that after we have finished our preliminary tests here, send the sample to the FBI
Very
for
well.
further investigation
Is-
if and when we return.
Is HG in agreement?
Yes, he makes all notes about everything that they've found in their preliminary tests, and then, gets it sent to the lab. with those.
As you finish preparing your notes, Major Garrett walks up and he leans over on the table next to the microscope, and he just sighs and rolls up his sleeve and bares his forearm to you.
Ing, do you want to do this, or do you want me to?
Well, actually, I've got some points in medicine.
I have 41, so if you have higher than that.
I got 39 in medicine.
Oh, so it doesn't really matter how we do it, so.
I'll laugh if one of you gets a 40.
Well, you got the highest, so you go first.
Okay, cool. Now that... Yeah, I'll roll first before I make some stupid statement.
Good thinking.
Oh! Oi. Can I push that? Because that was a 90.
Yes, you can.
Jesus! You just stab him in the leg.
Ow, my eye!
Whoops, my finger slipped.
It's a 17 out of 41, so that's a hard pass this time.
17 out of 40.
Much better.
So now that I'm actually doing science work, I'm actually not nervous being around people anymore and just...
Yep.
Yeah, you just kind of, flick a switch and just instantly go, yep, work done.
This normally tough man full of bravado winces as you wrap his arm in a bandage and draw his blood. Then you place it under the microscope, and I'd like you to make a luck check. I'd like you to make a luck check, please.
Okay. That's a 51, so that is a pass.
You discover, and you sigh in relief, that there appear to be no traces of the strange substance in his blood.
I pat him on the arm, say, "You're fine," and shoo him away.
He laughs nervously and says, well, you almost had me going for a sec there. He says, well, look, you guys want to get this thing tested at the lab? He grabs the bag containing the slide with the substance, and he says, I'll have this sent along back up to Phoenix, where you came from. And, well, I think if it were up to me, and of course this is my investigation, I'd say, maybe looking over the Begay's ranch might be worth your attention.
Yes, we haven't looked over there yet.
Now that we are all together, probably it is a bigger job, so all of us together probably is a better idea to go together.
What time of day is it?
By now, it's about 5 p.m.
Yeah, we've still got some time.
Probably just time to get this done and get back to your motel. Yeah. Okay. You tell them that you tell Major Garrett and Sheriff Colorado's that you're going to examine the ranch. They both nod and tell you they're going to remain behind and look over the paperwork, fill out the paperwork for today's findings, and look over some less pressing leads. You step out of the police station back into the car park, and as the sky begins to glow red and purple above, you climb into the black sedan and begin to make your way once again down State Road 70 towards the Begay Ranch. Nox Smolder, I'd like you to please roll a drive auto again with advantage.
Alright, am I driving ourselves off the cliff?
Just so you don't get lost, or so you don't take a lot of time.
What's the base for drive auto?
20.
20, okay. Evil again. Can I push that?
Yes, you can.
Oh no.
Aren't you glad I pushed it? That's an 18.
Oh, lovely. So the ranch is about 40-50 minutes out of town, and driving at a reasonable rate, sticking to the main road, and following the correct path, despite the signs being harder to read in the descending twilight, you manage to make your way to the ranch. The ranch is a lone homestead in the middle of a vast field of grazing land. Seems to be an area of about 10 to 20 acres, all fenced in with a simple wire fence. The sheep simply left to roam the fields at their own free will. As you begin to turn and drive up the dirt track that serves as its driveway, you notice a green station wagon parked just in front of the gate.
Do we want to check that out, or will we check it out later?
Doesn't appear to be anyone in it.
Can I do a spot hidden check anyway?
Sure, go ahead.
Can I use 2 lock points to pass that?
Sure. As Nox slowly drives you past the car, you look through the window and try to see what you can make out inside. You see several white sacks stacked in the back seat, and as you look at them, you notice a label emblazoned across the side. It appears to be feed for livestock. You also notice, dangling in the driver's side seat, what appears to be several Native American charms and knickknacks.
Yeah.
Do you determine any of this to be a threat, or...
Who's got natural world? Like,
I do.
History.
Well, H.G. King could make an anthropology check.
Yeah, and try to figure out what type of charms they are.
Well, I guess that would depend on how well
Yeah, he can get a look at
he
them.
can describe them.
And,
That is a hard pass for anthropology.
lovely. However, I was going to make it a hard check because you certainly didn't pass. Yes, you did pass. So Stanley points out the things dangling in the driver's side. Just good thing the window's open, so you're able to get a decent look at them. And from a cursory glance, without actually being able to get up and grab them and have a look at them, you determine them to be protection talismans. designed to
good.
ward off evil spirits, or perhaps in some instances, a skinwalker or wendigo.
Dear God.
That doesn't sound ominous at all.
Do you reveal this to the rest of the group?
Yes.
Well then,
I mean,
I think
it would be.
the work's just got a little bit more interesting.
You continue to slowly wend your way up the Begay's Ranch driveway, the sky growing darker purple slowly, until you pull up in front of the homestead. Knox, you kill the engine, and then you all climb out, stepping out onto the dirt. As you do so, you see something moving ahead of you in the twilight. A humanoid figure, hunched over, carrying something slung over its shoulder. It seems to be moving in your direction, coming from the direction of the homestead. What do you do?
No, I'm a inside nerd. I was going to say, is it a person with a sheep over his shoulders? My guy wouldn't know that.
Oh, there's Action Man.
Are we still near the car?
Yes, you've just stepped out of the car.
Use the car door as a little bit of cover. Put my hand on my holster and unclip it, ready to draw. And I'm assuming we all have flashlights.
Yes, you have flashlights.
I've got a kit,
Just
so...
like to take a moment to say that Krillin doesn't have a sidearm.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. I'm just putting that out there.
Like I said, I literally had to dig mine out of my desk. I have one, but yeah, that thing is barely used, if ever.
Alright.
Yeah.
So you just grab your flashlight and shine it in the direction of the figure?
Yep.
The flashlight illuminates a hunched over Apache man, perhaps in his 60s or 70s, and the object slung over his shoulder is a half-empty bag of sheep food.
Okay,
There was sheep in the word.
Yeah, either way, you didn't want to mess with him.
He smiles at you. Just jumping slightly from the flashlight being shone at him. And then he opens, and with a toothless mouth, he shouts a greeting in Apache.
Does anyone know Apache?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and
Say, hell no, I don't.
go ahead and roll your speak Apache check, please.
Is it similar to Latin?
No.
Can I push that?
Yes, you can.
I only know English.
Nope.
He must be speaking a dialect you've not heard before. You're unable to catch the exact words of his greeting, but you get the gist. Mainly that he's surprised to see you here, that he hasn't seen anyone on the ranch for weeks, and in no uncertain terms, wonders what you were doing here.
Alright, at this point, well, first holster the gun and clip it back in. And, do we still have, the... words. The little stinger thing.
No, it's been demolished. It's been just dissected now.
Okay.
Yep.
Still trying to explain it to him, I guess.
Introduce ourselves as FBI agents here working on the case, maybe first?
Yeah.
Yep, you could do that. So you all gonna flash your badges?
I awkwardly flash my badge.
You all flash
I'll flash mine as well.
You all flash your badges, and this causes the man to frown, and he takes a step back. He raises his hand, and he says, once again in Apache, enough that HG King can understand, "Ooh, what are you doing here? This is not your place."
Oh, okay. I thought there was still
Yeah, I was gonna say this is your ship.
I thought you were going to say more, so that's why I was quiet.
If you would like to appeal to him and try to calm him down in Apache, HT King, that will be a roll with disadvantage, because he's now looking quite off-put, both by flashing the badge and by the fact that you didn't quite seem to understand what he was saying earlier.
Yeah, communication
Oh,
is
dear.
hard.
Oh dear.
It's up to you, Chief.
Or you could try a
that would
more
be-
forceful tact, where you basically, threaten to arrest him and...
No,
None of that.
definitely not. I'm an intellectual, not a physicality type.
That's fair.
No.
So I'll see what I can do. So disadvantage.
Disadvantage, go ahead.
No.
So, yep, failure on both. Would you like to push it?
Sure.
Might as well, I guess.
Yeah, no.
Oh no!
Oh.
Well, left block.
Yep.
To everyone watching at home, well, listening at home, he rolled a 97.
Yes, they could see it in the thing. But yeah. So you know that there are different dialects of Apache from different regions of this area, and this one is completely foreign to you. You try a couple of basic words, but they don't seem to convince him enough. He relaxes just enough to smile at you and say in broken English, "You watch out. Coyote spirit not like interlopers." And then he begins to shuffle away back down the driveway towards the green station wagon that you now presume to be his car.
Huh.
Didn't end as badly as I thought it would. Yet.
Give it a minute.
Yeah.
However, you can't help but feel as if you've missed out on a crucial piece of information as he walks
Yeah.
away.
Well, crap.
Just the same, you are now here at the homestead. The sky is growing steadily darker. It's now about 6 p.m. There's only about half an hour of daylight left. What would you like to do?
Alright, everyone flashlights out and let's continue to, let's split up. Me and Dr. Krillin, will go inside the house and...
Well, Krillin was going to say that he would like to look to see if there was any dead animals left around the house.
Alright, Stanley,
That's a good
you're with
idea.
me, we're going inside the house.
Sure, whatever, man.
Alright.
And Krillin, you go with Kin. I mean, Kin go with Krillin around the house.
Very well. Okay. So, first of all, we will do inside the house. Nox, you step up onto the front porch of the homestead, and you look around. The windows are closed, covered in dust. It appears no one has lived here in quite some time, which would make sense as the family has been missing. You reach out and turn the knob of the front door, and you find out that the door is locked.
Ooh, I have locksmith.
So I.
Oh, what's your locksmith at?
30.
That's mine. Alright,
This is for it.
How are we going to do this? Alright, yeah, Stanley, since this is your first time out in the field, I'll let you pick the lock.
Gee, thanks, Chief. Yeah, you might want to take a 10 on that one. I rolled once and got an 88.
Oh,
Feel
no.
free to you take a swing of that because I'm not pushing in case you break the friggin' lock.
And that is an 8.
Is indeed an 8. Okay. The lock clicks, and you push the door open with a loud creak that echoes throughout the room on the other side. On the other side of the door, is pitch darkness, punctuated only by your flashlight. You both step into a small, sparsely furnished homestead, furnished only with the basics. Functional.
Before stepping
Yep.
in, I'd like to just survey with the flashlight in the room.
Sure. I'd like you to make a spot hidden check, please.
There. Can I push that?
Yes, you can.
Okay, that is a just normal pass.
Normal pass. You sweep the beam of your flashlight across the room, and you see nothing that strikes you as dangerous. There's layers of dust that cover everything, a horrible stench which you quickly determine to be from rotten food emanating from the refrigerator. And you quickly determine that the homestead is functional and practical, but not particularly comfortable or fancy. This is the home of a family that made do with what they could.
Does there look like there's any sign the house has been ruffled at all?
You notice that several things are out of place. For example, a remote for the TV lying on the ground next to one of the armchairs, the back of it broken off and the batteries having fallen onto the carpet. There is what appears to be a smashed plate on the floor in the kitchen. But aside from that, not much else. The only things of note in the room appear to be a dust-covered computer and a small hallway leading into the adjoining bedrooms.
Okay, how long has the house been abandoned for?
According to your notes, about 3 weeks.
Okay, so not enough dust would have settled.
Oh no, there's enough dust here for... Yeah, it's like 3 weeks worth of dust. It's like a month's
Okay.
worth of dust.
I would like to be a bit, well, I like to think I'll be a bit clever with this and, have a look around and see if, like, anything's been moved, because you can tell if, things are covered in dust and they move, there's no
Yes.
dust underneath.
So make a spot hidden check, please.
Oh, that's a 3.
You have a look just around the lounge room and the dining room. You discover one thing of note. A large crockery cabinet appears to have been shifted about half a meter from its usual spot at the head of the dining table, as if to cover something up.
Stanley, do you want to help me move this in over here? Something is not sitting right with me.
What, you mean you can't just bench press this thing out of the way by yourself?
Look,
I look like the kind of guy that lifts shit and...
things will go
Whatever,
a lot more
fine.
faster if we cooperate.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Very well. I would like you both to make strength checks with advantage, please.
That is a normal pass, me.
I fail.
That's okay. You'll still be fine. You grab either side of the cabinet and you lift it up and shove it out of the way. And then you take a look at what was underneath. I'd like both of you to make sand checks, please.
Oh. What's my
That's 17, I pass.
That is a pass for me. That was a 34.
Okay, for passing, you each lose 1d3 sand.
Oof.
Oh, this is bad. That's not good.
Okay, well,
And of course that's a 3.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It appears that the cabinet was moved in a clumsy attempt to cover up what you've just found underneath. That is, a huge pool of dried blood sinking into the wooden floor, and lying in the middle of it, what appears to be a severed hand, its fingers still wrapped around an Indian tomahawk.
Oh my god.
And the
What?
cops missed this.
Dead?
I say that as me, not
Yeah.
as Krillin.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. We know what you meant, but
You get
what
You get the impression that the situation between the Arizona State Police and the Apache Police is perhaps a bit strained, and it's less so they overlooked it, and more so they didn't have enough time to fully search everything.
I turn to Stanley and tell them to go get Krillin and Kin to get their asses in here.
Yeah, immediately just vacate the room so I don't throw up.
Yep. King and Krillin, you are searching the perimeter of the homestead while they're doing this, and you are unable to find any dead animals, but as you search, I'd like you both to do spot hidden checks, please.
That's a 58. That's fail. I would like to push that if I could, please.
Yep.
Pushing all around.
Push it real good.
That was an even worse fail. So I failed.
You see nothing at all.
I was gonna say, want to swap spot? You guys go inside. I'll look at stuff.
Okay, okay, HG King, you are the only one who sees this as Krillin continues to examine the ground for entrails, tracks, or any remnants of any dead animals. You see out of the corner of your eye something in the air. You turn towards it and see two very large birds, almost black in the dusk, circling in the air above a section of the grazing field, about halfway between the homestead and the highway.
Birds circling usually means they're looking for something or looking at something. We might want to move our search over in that direction.
Oh, you said something? What?
You point out the birds to Krillin temporarily.
I like that.
Okay, so what would you like to do? You may head towards these birds, or you may head back towards the homestead and see what the other two are doing.
Well, they haven't alerted us
No,
yet,
they
have
haven't yet.
Well,
No.
then
I'm
I
on my way.
think Krillin would go towards the birds.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah.
And
without being
so,
alerted.
you climb over a wire fence and begin to trudge through the ankle-length grazing grass. Dead brown, turning purple in the dusk, making your way towards this location. Soon, the homestead is but a small black rectangle in the distance behind you. I'd like you to both make hard listen checks, please.
Listen.
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh no. You don't usually need to listen to stuff that you're dissecting. 75, so I'm gonna ask to push it.
Go ahead.
Oh, that was even worse. Okay.
Okay. So as you
What
make
can we
your
make?
way towards this location, you do not hear the voice of Nox Smolder, who tries to call you back to the farmhouse. Meanwhile,
Didn't hear me
back-
either? Oh,
no,
I gotta
didn't
find
hear
them again.
either of you. Meanwhile, the other
Shit.
two of you are standing at the entrance to the farmhouse, calling for the other two. They do not come, and it is then that you see them. They're small pinpricks of shadows off in the distance, making their way through one of the fields. However, I would like the both of you to now make listen checks.
Okay.
Oh, hey, that's a 19. I pass.
That is a 71. Can I push that?
Yes, you can.
Wait, what is my listen? Where are you? Well, I don't even have listen. Okay.
Yeah, same.
Neither do I.
Nope.
I just got lucky.
And
We are not a good investigation
It's okay,
team.
Stanley hears it.
and that's a 14.
Oh, that's a pass for both of you? Okay. You both hear No sooner have you called out to the others, you hear from inside the house behind you a loud thump and then the sound of breaking glass.
We were the only ones in there, right?
You didn't check the bedrooms.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I'm very happy that I'm out in the field.
Okay, well, we have two options here. We either A, try to go after these guys, or B, we deal with whatever the hell is inside the house.
I'm gonna run back to the house.
I'm just sitting there, just doing that whole, I'm just looking between both scenarios and just going, leave the lab, they said. It'll be fun to get out in the field, they said.
So, do you draw your...
Exercise, they said. It can't hurt, they said.
No.
Do you draw your sidearms and step into the house?
Yeah, my gun's fully drawn.
I mean, I don't really want to, because I don't usually use it, but I don't really have a choice in the matter at this point. Just a precaution. I'm more than happy to let him take the brunt of this.
You step into the house following Nox Smolder with your hand on your sidearm. The room appears no different. The dust still settled, but you hear another thump coming from the direction of the bedrooms, and then the sound of something shuffling along a wooden floor.
Yep, flashlight out as well, and just slowly walking towards the sounds of the rooms.
Very well. You slowly walk towards the direction of the hallway, your flashlight held in your hand. Then there's another thump, and crash! Something bursts through the door leading to the bedroom. At first, it appears to be human, but you notice it is most certainly not human. A horrible stench fills your nostrils, the stench of a corpse that's been rotting for 3 weeks. I would like you both to make con checks.
That is
Con. Actually,
con.
for me.
Just on the pass. Thank Christ.
You feel vomit building up in your throat, but you shake yourselves, willing it to go away. And then you take stock of the thing before you. A bloated, distended humanoid shuffling towards you, its eyes blank, lifeless. Someone has sliced a large hole in its belly, letting its intestines spill out onto the front seat. There's a large cavity in its upper torso, showing you that its lungs and heart have been removed. Yet strangely, the corpse is mostly devoid of blood.
Quick question. What year did you say this takes place in?
1998.
Good, which means I can ask the following question. What kind of Resident Evil bullshit is this?
I'd like the both of you to make sand checks, please.
That is pass for me.
22.
That's an 8.
Okay, for passing, you lose 1d3 sand.
Ugh.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's only a 2 this time. Hooray.
Stop copying me. That was a 2 as well.
The figure slowly...
No, I did it first.
The figure slowly stumbles towards you. What do you do?
So it is fully dead.
It appears to be. Yet you can't believe your eyes. You've never seen anything like this. Your mind instantly flashes to one thing. Zombie.
Yep.
How far away is it?
It's at the end of the hallway. It's about 4 or 5 meters away from you. Only illuminated by your flashlight.
I would like to take a pot shot in its kneecap first.
Alright, go ahead. You're making a cold shot, so make a hard firearms check, please.
That's right, you gotta...
Oh. Jeez, that almost lost my die. That is a 25, which is a hard yes.
Bang! You fire, hitting it in its kneecap. The bullet slams into the knee, and the skin and clothing tear. Shards of bone drop onto the floor, but no blood. The creature stumbles, and then it falls face forwards with a loud thump onto the wooden floor. Okay, Stanley, what do you wish to do?
To try to make sure I'm a little bit further back from this thing, and I guess I can try and just shoot at it. Maybe.
Aiming for any particular part?
Well, I have virtually no training in that sort of thing, so I'm just gonna go.
Fire.
I don't know, just very shakily take my gun out and go. Let's see if I still remember how to actually do this.
Alright, make a firearms check, please.
Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting. Now, combat roll, I can't actually
You can't
push,
push
can
or
I?
spend luck, no.
Well, that's a shame because that was a 94.
Oh.
You fire
So
your...
I missed big time.
Yeah, you're panicking. You raise your gun and you fire it, and the bullet just slams into the wall at the end of the hallway. The creature begins to drag itself along the floor, and it lashes out with a bony hand, reaching towards Stanley. Stanley, make a dodge check, please.
Why you gotta ask the fat guy to make a dodge check?
Wait, I thought the zombie would be furthermore away, especially now it's just crawling.
Yeah, it's crawling, but he had to get closer to get a shot at it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Call of
Because I'm
Cthulhu
not good
doesn't...
at this, and no,
Yeah.
I failed.
You
I
failed. Okay, the creature is going to make a fight check,
Oh no. Well, nice knowing you guys.
and it grabs your ankle, tightening its grip as its bony fingers tear into your flesh. You pull yourself away, but at the cost of your footing, you fall backwards, slamming your head on the wall, and you take 4 points of damage.
Ow.
Ask before you go on to the next round.
Yep.
Would there be a chance that me and King would have heard gunshots?
Oh, I have plans for you, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
we get our own
Okay.
story.
Oh, I have plans for you.
Don't worry about it.
Nox Smolder, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
Alright, now that I've got even more confirmation that it's not of the living, just go for a headshot.
Oh.
Alright. You step forwards, make a hard firearms check.
And that is a critical. That's an 11.
Bang!
Fucking brains out.
You fire your gun. The bullet shatters the skull, scattering brain matter. But once again, strangely, no blood across the floorboards. The creature twitches. It ceases to move. Then, I'd like you to make a luck check, please.
Both of us or just him?
Just him.
Well, fair enough.
That is a that is a 45, which is a pass.
You step towards the corpse to examine it, and then you hear something. You hear a squelching sound coming from the corpse, and then you see a small bulge underneath the corpse's shirt as something begins to bubble under its back.
I step away and have my gun trained on it.
There's a squish, and something leaps forward out of the corpse's back. You only have a chance to catch a glimpse of it. Something small, something white, vaguely resembling a tiny insect. An insect made of dead grey flesh with blue veins running across the surface of its body. And it leaps at you, Nox Smolder. Make a dodge check with advantage, please.
Because I step back.
Yes.
What's my dodge? Even though I think that I don't need the advantage because that's a 15. But what is my dodge anyway? Half my dex. That is a no critical.
Critical. Okay. It's going to make a fighting brawl check, which it fails. You swerve to the right, the creature leaps past you, hits the wall, and falls to the ground, where it flops uselessly on the floorboard before ceasing to move.
Oh.
It appears to be
what
dead.
the shit? What the hell is this thing, man?
It appears to be dead now.
Is anyone
I can
game enough to
touch
touch
it,
it?
How big is it?
It's about the length of your index finger. Very
See what the
small.
fix is.
I'd like to take a shot next to it.
Fire your gun into the floor next to it. Bang! It doesn't move.
Yeah, very cautiously go near it and put on some gloves and get ready to put it triple bag it.
You grab some
Did
gloves.
this thing actually bite me, or did it just grab me?
It just grabbed you and, tore into your flesh. You mainly took damage from falling over and smashing your head.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, you're fine. You put on some
Fine
gloves,
is not my first line, but yeah, sure.
and you grab the creature, which, now that you can actually look at it, resembles something like a slug. Except, from the side of its body, you can see 4 tiny tentacles. The surface of its body is covered in brown and purple veins that appear to be full of blood. You pick it up and drop it into an evidence bag. It does not move, it is completely inert.
Well, whatever this thing is, it drained blood from that poor sod over there. Saying that, I put it in my jacket and just saying, I don't think we should tell the others about this, but we should let our boys know so they can examine it.
Yeah.
Do you wish to press on and examine the bedroom?
Yes.
You step over
Well.
the corpse on the floor, doing your best to silence the fear that's growing within you. You step into the open bedroom. Inside the bedroom, there is not what you expected to see. You expected to see blood, gore, more horrific Resident Evil shit. Instead, the bedroom looks almost undisturbed, save for a groove on the bed that suggested someone had been lying there only moments ago. There does not appear to be much of note in the bedroom, and as you turn to leave, the light from your flashlight catches on something that appears to have rolled under the bed. Something that shines a metallic gleam in the light of your flashlight.
Oh, yeah, you're the field agent. Off you go.
Like to bend down and just more examine under the bed first before I go reach my hand out under it.
You examine under the bed, and you see nothing dangerous, but you do see what caught the light of your flashlight. It appears to be a spherical object, about the size of a baseball, made seemingly of metallic chrome.
Yes, reach out and pick it up.
You reach out and pick it up. I will now put an image in the Discord.
Hey, that's like the killer ball thing from oh god, what's that movie? Phantasm.
You hold it up and look at it under the light. It appears to be a semi-transparent sphere, slightly larger than a baseball. It seems to weigh only a couple of pounds, and its outer hull is made of a dark material that feels like both metal and plastic. Lights and circuitry can be seen through the nearly opaque hull.
I toss it to Stanley. Here you go, bud. You're all about things electronics.
Yeah, electronics. What the hell is this thing?
You
Yeah,
look
your
at it,
guess is good
Stanley,
mine.
and you notice that the inside seems to contain circuitry, or at least you think it's circuitry. You can't fully see it due to the almost opaque surface, and what you can see of it looks nothing like any circuit board you've ever seen.
Give me a couple hours with a laptop. I can try and figure something out. Dude, this is. Can we explain that how do you explain this to someone? We found a zombie with no blood and whatever the hell this thing is.
So far, let's keep things under wraps until we know what's going on.
That said, there appears to be nothing else to examine here, unless Stanley would like to have a look at the computer that you found in the lounge room.
Yes, see, that I can do. That I'll go look at. I'll just go, yep. Nursing the back of my head,
Yeah.
go, you know what? Laptop, I can do that. That sounds like me.
You head over to the computer and turn it on. The Windows 98 login screen pops up. It is password protected, but this is exactly the type of challenge you've been waiting for. Something that you can bury yourself in to get your mind off what just happened. Make a computer use check, please.
The fact that these guys live out in the middle of nowhere, yet somehow still have access to at this point, the top-of-the-line Windows usage. And that is it's a 15. That's a hard pass, one off a critical pass.
The challenge is not as brain stimulating as you were hoping, as you quickly attach one of your gadgets to it and press a couple of keystrokes on the keyboard, and you're in. You quickly look around and see what files are recently accessed, and there is a document that pops up immediately that was most recently accessed about 3 weeks ago. That appears to be records of the day-to-day running of the ranch. Would you like to open these up and have a look?
As well.
You click and open the document. There's a page for each day dating back the last 3 years. Too much information to read through. But if you make a library use check, you should be able to narrow the results down.
Okay, library use is not bad. I can give it a go.
Go ahead and see.
Yep, that's 27. That's a pass.
You find a section of the document that seems to be dated to recent events. The first thing you see is what appears to be a screen cap of a web page that presumably Victorio Begay has pasted into the document. I'll bring it up so you can see it. It reads It is an article from the Scientific American, dated June 2nd, 1998. Little over 3 months ago. Spectacular meteor shower provides unexpected surprise for West Virginia astronomy enthusiasts. The month of June, sorry, it's meant to be June, not January. The month of June has proved to be one both of excitement and puzzlement for astronomers, amateur or otherwise, in the state of West Virginia. For several evenings, sky watchers there were treated to an increasingly dazzling display of colour and light, which culminated in a spectacular display observable on the 18th of last month. Professor Matthew DeVries of the University of West Virginia's Department of Physics was among the many keen observers of those few days. It's the kind of thing you hope to see, but all too rarely do, he commented. If you could forgive the hyperbole, or the hyperbole, it literally was like the 4th of July on that last night, although there was a marked tendency for the vapor trails observed to appear to be of a quite greenish hue, which is quite unusual in meteors. He added, I have observed the Leonids and other known swarms in action in the past, and they can be quite dramatic given the right conditions. But this fall was of another order entirely. the layperson may not realize, but a lot of meteor activity can be predicted. The fact that this fall was not expected and that this was spectacular is what makes this so exciting for us. Professor De Vries and his fellow members of the Association of American Astronomy have been presented with a unique opportunity to categorize their find. It seems that the majority of the meteor fragments came to Earth in Tecumseh County. Professor De Vries and fellow staff at the university hope to examine some small fragments which have apparently been located by residents of that county.
I feel like Stanley would have definitely have read this
Yes,
at some point earlier on
Stanley,
before.
you remember this event happening, and you couldn't quite get the time off to drag yourself away to West Virginia, but a lot of amateur star watchers and astronomers, presumably the humble rancher Victorio Begay among them, did manage to drag themselves over there in the hopes of seeing the shooting stars firsthand, and perhaps in the hope of claiming some of the fallen meteorite rock. Are there any suspicions growing in your mind, Stanley?
I mean, the whole fact that it was seemed as, whereabouts is Tecumseh County? Is that where we are now? Or
No,
that
it is
somewhere
not. It's in a
other?
separate state, but this was a
So I
big enough
figured.
deal that people did come from all over the country to watch this event
Yeah.
and hopefully bring some of the meteorite rock back with them.
I'm now very much eyeing the weird orb that's in my pocket. That's pretty much I'm holding on to and just carefully put it down on the table to stare at for a bit and go,
Indeed.
well, I have good news, and I have news that is probably going to make you shit your pants. What do you want to hear first?
What do you find there, bud?
Well, I think there's a possibility that according to this article, there was a lot of people freaking out about a meteor storm recently. I'm not sure. I'm guessing you probably didn't hear it for many different reasons, but there's a good chance this is less Resident Evil and more Alien, if you get my drift.
The rest... Yep.
Weirdo alien dude.
Sorry, a little part of me is like in horror, and then another part sort of twinkles, thinking
Yes.
maybe I can finally find out who abducted my brother.
The rest of the document is uneventful, though in the weeks leading up to today, Victorio does mention that several of his sheep have been stolen. When he reported this to the Apache Tribal Police, they wrote it off as coyotes. However, he states that he does not believe it to be coyotes, as no entrails or blood were left at the scene. Meanwhile, we cross over to H.G. King and Dr. Krillin Temporary, making their way out into the fields. You currently stand in a patch of field, the dying yellow grass almost reaching up to your knees as the two large birds circle overhead. Although their forms are almost pitch black in the quickly, rapidly deteriorating light, you can see, now that you're up close, that they are indeed vultures. And where vultures circle, there must be carrion. And so I would like you both to make spot hidden checks.
That is a critical success. That was an 8.
Fail.
You notice, so HG King, you're transfixed on the vultures, but Krillin, you look around and you notice that almost directly underneath the vultures and hidden by the grass that has swiftly grown over it, there appears to be a large patch of dirt, about 3 meters by 3 meters in area, that is raised slightly above the rest of the ground. And immediately the worst thought pops into your head. A mass grave.
This better not be a mass grave of sheep that are zombies.
God.
Zombie sheep. Zombie sheep.
I've seen that movie somewhere, I'm sure.
Not bad. Not bad.
What would you like to do?
Krillin brings this to King's attention.
And what do you have to say? What do you have to say, HG King?
Well, we are both men who look at the remains, so this is a mass grave. We are the best men for the job.
Yes, but usually they've been brought to me in the morgue. I'm not used to field work, but I guess we should go get our hands dirty.
Well, there's a first for everything.
You notice that somebody has conveniently left a shovel next to one of the sheep's troughs at the edge of the fence. You grab it and you take turns uncovering the grave. I'd like you both to make strength checks, please.
That is a pass.
That is a pass.
Hey, I got 33.
Ah, lovely. Altogether, you happen to work quite fast, taking turns and uncovering portions of the hole. It takes about an hour, and by the time you're done, the sun has almost completely set. The hole and the things in it before you being lit only by your flashlights. Scattered in the grave in front of you are the corpses of at least 20 sheep, piled haphazardly, one on top of the other. This is bad enough, but then as you begin to extract some of the sheep to get a better look at them, you notice at the very bottom of the grave, I'd like you to make a sand check, please.
Lord.
Oh, no.
That's a pass.
That is not a pass.
Okay, for passing, it'll be 1d3. For failing, 1d6, please.
Here we
Oh,
go.
no.
3.
Here we
Oh, wait, hold
go.
on. I rolled it.
Welcome to the path of insanity.
5.
Why?
Three.
Why do I... Oh.
What?
Alright.
We're already back to this. Welcome back, Smitty.
Make
We
an
missed
intelligence check, please, Smithy.
Oh.
Why, Smitty?
And that's a pass as well. Of course it is.
Well,
shit.
I'll tell you what happens in a moment. As you
Oh, no.
extract several of the sheep's corpses, your hearts leap into your mouths and you feel a spasm of terror as you realize what's at the bottom of the grave. Human corpses. A woman missing a hand that has been severed. And two young men, perhaps no older than 15 or 16. They lie at the bottom of the grave, their skin rotting and grey, their corpses seemingly completely exsanguinated of blood.
Mystery solved.
At this point, HG King, you become obsessed with the need to know more. And so you jump down into the grave and begin crawling over one of the bodies, trying to hoist it up and yank it out of the grave. I would like you to make a luck check, please.
Oh, no.
Oh, gosh. That's a pass.
That's a pass. And as you force the handless woman out of the grave, into the grass, you are lucky. Nothing jumps at you. These corpses appear to be completely inert. And so, still possessed of that need to know more, you climb out of the grave lean over the dead woman and begin to examine her under the light of your flashlight. I would like you to please make a forensics check.
Well, he's an extreme.
We're handling your insanity pretty well.
Yes, he is. See, the luck check was to determine if this corpse was like the one they found inside. You know, all three of these corpses are inert. You are lucky. I'm not gonna let insanity kill you this early in the campaign.
Not this time.
I'm examining your body and got an extreme pass, so that's
Yes.
Yeah.
Your examination, which takes about 10 minutes, very quick, as you work in this zeal of trying to discover as much as you can about these fascinating events, reveals multiple needle-like wounds across the woman's body, and, to confirm your findings, a cursory examination of the sheep reveals that they too are also covered in needle-like pinpricks.
in my obsession. I grab out something to make records and throw it at Temporary and say, take notes.
Furthermore, it appears that all of the corpses, the woman, the two boys, and the sheep, have all been completely drained of blood, perhaps through the pinprick-sized wounds. Though you'll need to cut into them to examine more. Who's game to do a medicine check?
Yeah, I'm game.
Go ahead, Temporary, as you're starting to feel a little bit curious yourself.
Just casually just sort of leaning around as he's like furiously going, yeah, just take notes.
I would like to push that.
Go ahead.
Or spend 41 luck points.
41 luck points.
Yeah.
Ah,
my God.
Yep, you passed. Lovely. Okay. You grab the scalpel out of your field kit, slice open the woman and a couple of the sheep, and you determine that the needle-like wounds have pierced the heart and lungs of all the humans and all the sheep. Additionally, you find traces of that strange chemical in all of the carcass's nervous systems. As you're about to close up the wound, you know... Yep. As you're about to close up the wound, I'd like you both to make spot hidden checks, please.
Oh, that's another 5. So that's another critical pass for me.
Yeah, no.
Another critical pass. Okay.
I'm in the zone.
Yep.
I'm doing my job. I'm in the zone.
You close up the wound, and you're about to pack up your kit, and then you notice something and point it out to King. On the woman's neck, several bloodied fingerprints, as if somebody held her down, or overpowered her, perhaps while she was trying to defend herself. Fingerprints of an assailant, perhaps.
Can I do a biology check to see if there's any bruising?
Yes, you can. Although I thought your first inclination would be to take prints.
Yeah,
Well,
that would be my first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
well, I want to check for bruising
Alright,
evidence.
so
and
you
then
do a biology check and King will do a forensics check.
I would like to push that.
Yes. Pushing.
Both push it. Alright, be careful you don't damage any evidence.
22.
That's a pass.
So that's
That's a pass.
a hard pass for me.
So I just have to duck up to the toilet.
That's fine. You notice some bruising on her neck and on her jaw, as if somebody tried to hold open her mouth, but they were unable to. Meanwhile, King, you managed to take a partially complete set of prints off the bloodied woman's neck. It should be enough that if you fax it to FBI HQ, it might ping on someone in their system. with that, gather up all your evidence and return to the homestead, where you see Stanley and Nox Smolder leaning against one of the banisters on the front patio, breathing and wheezing, their faces white as if they've seen something terrible, spatters of blood on their clothes. You quickly tell each other of your recent encounters, and although at first the so-called zombie encounter that Nox and Stanley recount to you seems unbelievable, but when Nox pulls out the strange insectoid creature and shows you the corpse inside the house, this combined with what you've seen already and the strange metallic sphere fills you with a sense of dread. As if some terrible suspicion is beginning to grow in your minds.
So
Might as well, man.
little bug thing has like tiny tentacles coming out of it. Like,
It sure does, yes.
can I
Yes,
do a
it
biology
does.
check to see if the tentacles spread throughout the entire body?
Yes, you may go ahead. Make a biology check, please.
While he's doing that, can I do like an electronics check to see if I can figure out anything about this weird-ass orb?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I got a normal pass.
Lovely. So first of all,
Alright.
you examine the creature and you carefully extend its tentacles. You find that there are small barbs at the end of the tentacles. Barbs that, according to where it burst out from on the corpse, would be perfectly poised to attach to the spinal column. As you realize this, I'd like you to make a SAN check, please.
Is a pass.
You lose 1 SAN as you realize that the implication seems to be that this is a sort of parasite that was able to control the actions of an otherwise dead body.
And can control it without pumping blood through muscles.
Apparently so.
I feel like Villain would lose like
Yeah.
10, 70
Yeah.
points from that.
Well, you passed your check, but you know something is seriously not right. Meanwhile, Stanley, you sit on the patio under the light of the patio light and examine the sphere. And did you pass or fail, or did you get a hard pass?
I just got a regular pass, unfortunately. I'll take what I can get.
You notice that there does appear to be a groove around the middle of the sphere, but it's so thin you can't seem to get enough leverage on it to open it up. And likewise, there does not appear to be any means of opening it. As you're about to put it back in the evidence bag, you notice that on one of the faces of the sphere there is a very tiny circular component crisscrossing the middle of the sphere, and there is a small lens or membrane on it, almost as if it's a camera, or in your adult thoughts, a retinal scanner.
Can I try to have a look to see if it does anything?
You may.
Do I roll for that?
You can roll an intelligence check to have an idea of what might work with it.
Alright, that works. Push that, because I'd like to actually pass this. And that is a hard pass.
A hard
26.
pass. Lovely. Okay. You examine the object, whatever it is, and it's obviously too small to work with a human eye. It's too small to put any sort of key in. And then you have a brainwave. It seems to be just the right size for one of that creature's tentacles.
Oh. I sort of look over towards Krillin and the doc and go, hey, Stop me if this sounds like a weird question, but can I borrow one of them tentacle things?
What do you say, Krillin?
Oh! You pick up the creature and hold it next to him so that we don't have to actually detach one of the tentacles.
Ah, good
from the
idea.
specimen.
You press the tentacle up against the spot that he indicates, and the barb at the end seems to fit right into it. Without so much as
buddy, show me what you know.
Without so much as a click, the sphere springs open. Its top half springing up like a clamshell lid. Inside, you see, wedged in amongst a mass of what looks to be circuitry and electronics, of a construction and of a miniature scale that you have never seen before, I might add. There is a small jellied compartment right in the middle. There do not appear to be any obvious controls or other technological items. In that regard, the inside appears to be much like an egg. However, the small compartment is just the right size for the tiny creature's body to fit. And, when you place it in the cavity, its dead body immediately activates, shooting all 4 of its tentacles into the electronics. The electronics blink and light up, and the sphere begins to glow a strange yellow glow.
I make a knee-jerk reaction to try and pull the thing away.
Alright, I'd like you to make a dex check, please.
Oh, okay. Why do you gotta do that, man? I think I know what this is.
Just a fail.
That's a fail. Okay. As you reach for it, the seemingly inert creature digs its tentacles even deeper into the electronics, and then with a loud snap, the clamshell lid shuts, sealing the sphere once again. In your hands, Stanley, the sphere begins to glow. First, a light yellow, then a brighter yellow, then a bright orange. It begins to grow hotter and hotter to the touch.
I'd like to touch. We're outside, yeah?
Yes.
I might put it down a little bit in front of me and then just back off a bit just to see what happens.
You put it down in front of you, and you step away. Everyone else, do you stay where you are, or do you step away to where Stan is?
Step further away.
Yeah, so I see him step away, and then I just,
Dylan is all but running away at the moment.
Very
Something
well.
that was dead just came back to life in front of him.
Yes. I would like each of you to please make a dodge check.
Oh, fuck you.
Shit.
That is a 24.
Well.
Oh, that is an extreme pass.
I fail.
The sphere begins to vibrate where Stanley left it on the front porch. Begins to hum, first softly, then loudly, as it glows brighter. It begins to shake and glows brighter and hums louder. And then, boom! It explodes, reducing the front patio to rubble, sending shards of debris, wood, and glass sailing into the air. You all try to hit the dirt, but those of you who failed are too slow, and you're pelted with pieces of wood and glass that burst out from the explosion, and you take 4 points of damage.
Ow, I am very, between that and the zombies, I am really hurt.
Yeah, but you haven't actually taken a major wound, so you're not at risk of dying yet.
No, but still, again, still not in great shape. Although that being said, I'm like lying there half dazed, half laughing, going, holy shit, did you guys see that?
Yes, Yes, I did.
You're covered
No
in
more touching electronics for you.
you're covered in blood, rubbing parts of your body that ache. You all climb to your feet. The front part of the homestead is completely demolished. You can see into the bedroom and the back of the lounge. The front wall and patio is nothing but bent pieces of wood, splinters, debris, and dirt. And yet, despite this, you see, lying in front of it, something silver, metallic. The top half of the sphere, seemingly, miraculously, has survived.
I'm gonna go and have a look. Well, first I'm gonna check to make sure it's not, like, too hot to touch, just to, like, and then if it's not, I'd like to pick that up.
You tap it with the end of your index finger, and it is cool to the touch. And then you slowly pick it up and gaze inside. All of the circuitry within has been melted beyond recognition. And your heart sinks. There's no way you'll be able to glean any more information from it right now, but in a proper lab with enough time, considering that this is, for all intents and purposes, and it still sounds strange for you to utter these words, alien technology.
Are you kidding me? I'd be freaking hyped as shit over that one.
You could bet that despite the insides being completely melted, that you're sure there are still many wondrous things to find if you were to look at it in a lab.
Goddamn, I don't know if it's a spaceship or just some random ass piece of tech, but this is insane. Are you guys not as excited about this as I am?
No, it just tried to kill us.
Well, so is everything else that I've found so far since I got here. If I have to be stuck out here in the middle of Arts End of nowhere, at least I can be excited about something.
So there's a highly logical explanation for this.
With
Turn
that,
to
however,
King and go, and where in history do things come back to life then explode?
I'm sure.
This is not now history. This is someone else's history. It's goddamn aliens.
that said, as you contemplate the thing before you, you do realize there is a silver lining, as you have effectively solved the disappearances.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way in God's green earth we're going to be able to pass this off in our investigation.
In fact, I'd like you all to do an intelligence check to see if you can actually process this information enough to draw a conclusion.
Well, clearly I've been watching the right TV shows and reading the right books. That's a hard pass for me.
That's an extreme.
And I just...
Oh, wow. There's a logic. I know all the logic.
I got 8.
Oh, so we got a
wow, I
2,
thought I
a
was doing
6,
pretty
and an
well.
8.
You guys
This
I
is
thought I was
the-
doing pretty well. You guys just dumped me in my results.
You huddle over the object as the dark sky, as the stars begin to come out and the moon sends light down on the scene, and the following scenario pops into your head. Victorio Begay, rancher and amateur stargazer. He and his family among the first to go missing, but the last to be reported. He brings this back from Tecumseh County in West Virginia, and whatever arrived within it awakens, takes over his body. The entity, whatever it is, requires human blood, and so first it begins to feed upon his sheep, and then, when that doesn't sustain it, his family, and then, when everyone on the ranch is dead, it begins to search further afield, prowling State Road 70, taking anyone whom it encounters to feed its insatiable lust. And while it appears to have hidden their bodies in a different location, something tells you you don't need to find the bodies to know what happened.
Exploding alien technology and body snatching. Okay, you know what? I take it back. I nearly died, but screw that. This is awesome.
With that, you gather up everything you found and the strange orb, and you figure, is it time to return to the police station, close this case? All you need to say is that it was a poor rancher, upset that his sheep were going missing, who snapped and decided to take it out on... Yep, go ahead.
The rancher, I'm assuming that Krillin and... not Krillin. Stanley and Smolder have told us about the information they found on the computer.
Yes.
Where the rancher just says that sheep are going missing.
Yes.
Yeah, we were...
Who buried the sheep and the bodies?
Do you raise this?
I asked this question.
And you did get fingerprints.
Yes.
Would you like to return to base, call it a night, and send in these fingerprints to the FBI headquarters and see who they ping at?
That depends. Do Apaches usually get fingerprinted?
Depends. I would like HG King to do an anthropology check, please.
Alright,
That's good. That's good thinking.
Krillin is now suspicious of that.
You suspect that while the Apache tribal police being suspicious of white people, especially white people from the government, may not have their prints easily and readily accessible, but it is possible that this person may have been printed through other means. Perhaps they were arrested outside of the reservation. Perhaps they were printed as part of entry into the tribal police or the military.
Find out, yes.
Krillin raises that even though he may just be a morgue worker, basically, maybe we should look into who owned that green sedan.
Yes.
Wasn't that the guy we ran into earlier on?
Yes, yeah.
Good idea.
Because as far as we know, he's the only person that's been on this farm.
And so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shit.
Also, we really need to bring into question the efficiency of the local police force.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, those guys suck. How did they miss all of that?
Well, you, HG King, know that the tribal police like to keep to themselves, and especially if the Begay family were pillars of the community, perhaps there would have been a lot of resistance to allowing the state police to do a thorough examination of their property.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a thing where the Apaches believe in something and it's a sacred right for them to be allowed to have this to happen. And
You'll find out, but it's not that actually. But with that, would you like to gather up the prints and the sphere and head back to base?
yes.
Very well. And we're about to enter the scenario's climax. Or nearly about to. You head back down the driveway to your car. And as you approach the car, I would like you all to make spot hidden checks, please.
That's a pass.
Hard
Mine's
punch.
that is a critical.
Oh, that's an extreme, yep.
Oh, piece of... High alert.
Okay, those of you who got a hard or critical, you notice, parked about 10 meters down the road, only just visible in the nighttime darkness, the silhouette of a van. It was not here when you arrived, but it is parked, seemingly watching you as you climb into your vehicle. Do you do anything?
And I don't see this. Yay.
No, you don't. Do you first of all point it out to the others?
So it's the same green car.
It's a van. It's a van of some kind. You
Oh.
can't see it well enough to determine the color.
And what? It's following us?
It's not moving, it's just parked there.
Oh, not moving.
You haven't gotten into you haven't started your car yet.
Oh, okay.
Can we see like number plates and stuff, or?
Not at this distance, not in this darkness. The highway is not lit very well. The streetlights are about 20 meters apart each.
Do we need to go past?
You don't need to go past it. You can just drive away and it will be behind you.
I would like to have a look at the van.
You want to go up to the van?
Yes.
Alright. As Nox Smolder begins to walk up to the van, would anyone like to stop him? Or would anyone like to go with him?
I don't have a weapon, so I'm going to stay near the car.
And I am like bugger all health going, look, dude, this probably isn't the best idea right now, but that's what you gotta do, go do.
The truth is near.
Yes, he would go to the
Yes.
black van. Very well. As Nox Smolder begins to walk to the van, Stanley, your phone begins to ring. Its ringtone. A approximation of the Pokemon main theme. Pierces the darkness.
Grab the phone and going, you got down the man who's talking.
A female voice on the other end says, "Here's a tip. Suited spooks in black vans are not your friend. Don't let them get what they're after. It doesn't matter what badge you have, nothing will stop them if you're in their way."
Oh. Yeah, hey, Action Man!
The person on the other end of the phone hangs up, and you call out, "Hey, Action Man!" What do you say, Nox Smolder?
Now, what is it?
Give it just a quick second. Big red flags. Big red flags.
I take my hand away from the van, about ready to knock.
Okay. As you remove your hand, the tinted driver's side window begins to roll down. You have just enough time to see a shotgun being aimed at you.
Oh dear.
Whoa.
Make a dodge check, please.
Oh dear.
I warned him.
Can I push that?
Yes, you can.
I warned him, you will hurt it.
Yes, that's a pass.
You hit the dirt as boom! The shotgun goes off, sending a cloud of dust billowing into the air beside you. You don't have any time to act before the driver's side door and the back door of the van are tossed open, and out step 3 men wearing very tight tailor-made suits and sunglasses. At night, one of them, the one in the driver's seat, brandishing a shotgun. The other 2, handguns. They see you on the floor and begin to rush towards you, guns drawn. Okay, dex values, please, people.
60.
60.
40.
35.
Okay.
Worse next to me.
HG King. You see them. Actually, what's yours, Nox Smolder?
85.
85. Okay, Nox Smolder. You have a chance to act first, as a man stands above you brandishing a shotgun, and 2 other men draw their handguns and begin to run towards you. What do you do?
It would be a turn to get up, isn't it?
Yes.
You know what? I'm just gonna go. Screw it. Shoot first, ask questions later.
Alright,
Headshot.
you'll go for a headshot. Okay. I would like you to make a hard firearms check.
And hello, that is a 20. That is a hard.
Alright, roll your damage and double it, please.
Alright, what's my damage? 1d8. No, not d8, 1d10. Do I do damage bonus? No. Okay, it is 6 double the 12.
6 double to 12. As the man brandishes his shotgun and opens his mouth to bark an order, you reach for your holster before he has a chance to act, raise it, and fire. Boom! Suddenly, he grows a third eye. He falls
Oh my
backwards,
God.
slamming into the side of the van. The other two men take a moment to adjust to what happened, and then they fire at you. Make a hard dodge check, please, Dr. Smolder. To roll behind the van and give yourself enough cover.
Oh, that's a 41, and to get a hard, I need a 42.
Alright.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
they're going to both make firearms checks.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
one of them misses outright. The other one fires, and as you go to roll behind the van and press up against the front of it, the bullet grazes your shoulder, and you take 6 points of damage as the bullet slams just below your shoulder blade. I'd like you to make a con check, please.
Ow.
Ow, you bitch. Oh shit, my con's high, that's a pass.
You manage to remain conscious. You are bleeding out, and you've taken a major injury. HG King, it is your turn.
Wait, did you just say I passed out?
No, you didn't. You managed to not pass out, yes.
Yeah.
HG King,
Yeah.
it is your turn.
How far away are we?
About 20 meters.
I guess I'll draw my weapon and take a shot in the hopes of getting their attention away from him.
Alright, make a firearms check, please.
No.
Oh no.
Bang! Your bullet shatters one of the headlights of the van. It's just enough to distract the two men who turn in that direction. Okay, Stanley, it's your turn.
Not 100%, but I can try and just get a shot in the hope that maybe I do a little bit better this time.
You may roll with advantage as they are currently distracted.
Oh, fun.
Yay.
I got a 22, so that's a pass.
Yep.
Hey.
Go ahead and roll your
I'll take
damage,
that.
please.
It's a regular, just standard issue revolver. That's going to be 5 points of damage.
Boom! You hit one of the men. Blood blossoms out of his torso, and he falls to the ground, going down from your shot. There is one man
Holy
remaining.
Damn, son.
Okay, Nox Smolder, it is your turn.
Yep. Might as well go for another shot.
Mama, just killed a man.
That is a 1.
Oh dear God.
It's a 1. Very well. You may roll and double your damage, because that's an impale.
That guy's fucked.
Isn't isn't a 1 a triple or something, or...
Oh yeah,
Is it
alright,
just
triple it.
like
Go
a-
ahead, it's a super impale.
Super duper important. 9. Crap.
9. Okay. You reach, and you hear the footsteps drawing closer and closer. You wait until you think the man is within a meter away from you, and then, gasping with exertion, you turn around and bang! Fire at him, hitting him straight in the neck. Blood spurts forth from his neck. He raises his gun, opens his mouth, and gurgles some death sound before he falls forwards, collapsing in a pool of his blood.
Oh my.
The night is silence once again. save for the raspy, laboured breaths of one of the men, the one that Stanley shot. He is still alive, but it appears he's lung shot, and he's not long for this world.
Say I'm breathing probably
stabilize
just as hard. I was gonna say I'm pretty much breathing just as hard at the moment, just from the physical existence of the fact that holy shit, I think I killed someone.
What do you do?
Krillin can run up and try to stabilize him if we want to get answers from him.
Yeah.
Would you like to do
Wanna
that?
stop you?
May as well try because he's gonna die anyway.
Alright, run up, Krillin. And meanwhile, someone might like to apply first aid to Nox Smolder, who's taken a major wound after being shot under the shoulder blade and is struggling to move.
$1 million question: did anyone take first aid?
Yeah, no, I took medicine instead of first aid.
I took medicine.
I'll allow you to do a hard medicine check to stabilize the spook,
First aid
but
still better than
first aid on Nox Smolder is going to require first aid and first aid only, not medicine.
Yeah, I've got.
Well, shit.
Got a 30 in first aid, but that's it.
Well, you got more than anyone else has.
Well, that's the normal. That's
the base that everyone has.
Yeah.
Ah,
My
okay.
medicine. Can I push my medicine for?
You can.
Yeah, nope.
Alright. Yes.
Critical.
Can first aid be pushed, or?
Yes, it can be. So it's a critical success from Remy for his medicine check.
There we go, that's a pass.
Alright,
Hey.
so, Nox Smolder, you gain 1 HP, your major wound is gone, and you can move under your own power again once HG King extracts the bullet and bandages your wound, and you're able to stand up once again.
Can I, like evidence up the bullets?
Yes, you can. You can take these as evidence, you might need it. Meanwhile, Krillin Temporary, you've stabilized the man. You managed to... he won't be alive for much longer unless he gets to a proper hospital, but after injecting him with some adrenaline and extracting a bullet, bandaging the wounds, trying to stop the bleeding, you've managed to keep him alive long enough that you will be able to talk to him. And as you stabilize him, he looks up at you. He breathes labored breaths. Why? Why? Why not kill me?
No, I don't kill.
Oh, Remy, you're breaking it.
Yeah, sorry, Remy, didn't get a word of that.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we still can't get you, Remy.
Give him
Am I
a-
back yet?
Give him a sec.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
I'm back?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't kill people, but that man, and I point at Smolder, I think he has some questions for you.
The man gasps, giving no answer. Everyone else, what do you do? As Nox Smolder clasps his bandaged shoulder, climbs to his feet, and begins to walk over to the man.
Is anyone else doing anything before I do stuff?
Quick question. I know it's like the noise, but is there any way for me to check in the last phone call on my phone, or that was dialed on my phone from that mystery person? Or is that going to be one for later to deal with?
That's gonna be a thing that leads into next episode.
All right. Well, in that case, I got nothing.
I mean,
Chief.
you can do it, but you're not gonna be able to do it tonight, like right here.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to be
Yeah.
in a lab, able to triangulate phone calls and stuff,
Yeah.
or
Fair enough.
visit the local cell tower. And, so what do you do, Nox?
Whilst he's doing that, can I go check the other bodies?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd like you to make a spot hidden check.
Gosh. Can that be pushed?
Yes, you may push it.
That is a pass.
Hey.
Okay, so
Hey.
as as Nox slowly walks over to the man, HG King, you begin to pat down the other two, finally managing to find not their wallets, but small badge cases, leather. You open them up, and inside you find badges for an organization calling itself Retrieval-Delta, and along with it, an ID card for the CIA. And because you passed your spot hidden, you notice as you examine these cards that they appear to be forgeries. They're not real CIA IDs. They're forgeries, but extremely high quality forgeries. Almost undetectable, and for someone who wasn't an FBI agent like yourself, they probably would pass. Yeah. But you know the watermarks to look for, and you can't find them.
Those sneaky dicks.
Good
So
spot.
we got guys out here posing as spooks.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Nox Mulder, what questions do you have to ask of the man before he expires?
Alright, first, did King tell everyone that they're forgeries?
I didn't tell everyone. I walk over to Smolder and just show him and
Yeah,
just
point
shake
it
my
out
head.
to him
Point out to
that it is a forgery. So you know that it's a forgery, Nox.
Where was he shot?
In the chest, in the lung. He's been stabilized long enough to talk, but he's dying. If he doesn't get to a hospital within 20 minutes, he's going to die.
If
He's
you
gonna
press
bleed
the
out.
wound, he will expire faster. I
Yeah.
warn Nox.
Yep. Well, first question is, why did you shoot at us, and why have you got forgeries from the CIA?
He smiles and he coughs up blood. Orders: retrieve alien tech, dispose of witnesses.
Orders from who? Tell me now.
He coughs and he laughs. I'd like you to make an intimidation check as you press his wound just a little bit. He knows he's gonna die, but if you could show him that his last moments will be more or less painful depending on what he says to you.
Well, that is a 10.
You
Which
press
is
your elbow
good.
into his chest, making him wince in pain. He knows he's dying, but you've convinced him if he doesn't tell you what he wants, his last moments will be far more excruciating. And that if he answers your questions, you'll be able to grant him a quick death. He coughs and he says, Retrieval Delta Team for MJ12. And with that, he expires. Does anyone have a cult?
I do.
Let me have a looky looks.
Roll an occult check, please.
Cult, sorry.
Can I use 4 luck points, please?
Yes, you can. You are perhaps the only one in the group to whom MJ12 rings a bell. MJ12, or as they're known to some, Majestic 12, or to others, simply the Men in Black. A mysterious government agency.
Just kicked by Will Smith.
A mysterious
Motherfuckers.
a mysterious government
Okay.
agency that appears in many accounts from alien abductees and ufologists. Strange spooks who cover up all instances of aliens or alien technology or alien incursion, sometimes to the extremes of silencing those who would speak out. Of course, this is all just hearsay, paranoid ramblings in UFO magazines and online message boards.
Gotta start looking more into those message boards.
With that, I'd like you all to make spot hidden checks.
Pass.
That's an extreme pass for me.
So what was that? Everyone just
Extreme
my computer
pass.
just freaked out and everyone dropped out for a
Spot
second.
hidden check.
Spot hidden. Okay.
Definitely extreme
That
pass,
is
bro.
a 12. So that is a hard.
12. Okay. As you stand back up and begin to make your way away from the now dead man, you notice something in the cockpit of the van. Something black attached to the ceiling, pointing out of the driver's side window. If this were set in the 2010s, or even today in 2021, you would instantly recognize it as a dash cam. For now, all you know is that it is some type of camera, and, based on the blinking red light, it has recorded everything that has happened here in the last few minutes.
Can I unplug it?
Would you like to try?
Yes.
You climb
The
into the
electronics check?
you climb into the driver's side seat. Take a look at it and make an electronics check.
While he's doing
Uh,
that, can I be studying the bodies?
Yes, you can.
That's a 26. That's just on a hard path. Oh, sorry, just a regular path.
You look
Almost a hard
over the
pass.
camera and you look for a way to turn it off, but there doesn't appear to be a way to turn it off from here. Just the same, you notice a tiny golden thread, a piece of copper wire, sticking into the roof and moving along through into the back of the van. No
Okay,
doubt
can
the
I-
wire that feeds whatever this camera records. Meanwhile, Remy, what did you wish to study their bodies and glean?
Or if there's anything affecting them at all?
Very well, make a
Well,
medicine check, please.
Medicine. Okay, well, I failed because I rolled while you were doing
Yeah.
that, and I got an 82, and then I pushed it.
A cursory
In case I was about to
investigation of their bodies reveals that they appear to be normal men, just working for an outfit that would rather you be dead right now. And you're not sure how this makes you feel. But meanwhile, Stanley proceeds to the back of the van, and you grab the back doors of the van, and they are locked from the inside.
I need to do a locksmith check, or can I just climb in through the front?
Oh, the front's got like one of those mesh barriers, like you'd find in a
try.
police car, so
damn
you're
it.
gonna have to try to lockpick it.
Alright, well. Oh.
I'm gonna have to push that.
Go ahead.
And that is a pass if I spend one luck point.
Sure. Wait for Stanley, and then you lean over it. Put your lockpick into the lock. You jiggle it around, and then clip. You hear the sound of the doors unlocking. Stanley grabs them and pulls them open. The back of the van is almost entirely taken up by an impromptu surveillance setup. Blinking switchboards, a computer hard drive with gold wires leading from it, a keyboard, and a screen. On the screen is your car, parked 20 meters away, staring the van right in the face. And, one last thing, underneath the surveillance equipment, almost invisible in the shadow, you see a dirty shovel.
Well, I think we know where the, yeah, I was gonna say, I think we know who our mass grave diggers are now.
But why?
I don't know, is there anything else in the van we can glean apart from the surveillance stuff?
Nope, just the surveillance stuff, which is attached to a computer, so it
Was the van parked behind us or in front of us?
was parked behind you.
So they've got a camera pointed at the front of our car.
Well, at the back of your car is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
With your number plate and everything visible.
Yeah, they know who we are.
And so, would Stanley like to make a hard computer use check? The last die roll of the night.
Oh boy.
Make it good.
That's a 26, that's a pass.
You boot up their computer. They've set up some quite professional grade anti-intrusion software, but you're able to slice through it within 10 minutes.
Now this is a challenge.
The challenge you were waiting for. Once you're logged in, you're able to locate the camera feed. You turn off the camera and delete all of the existing footage. You double delete it to make sure. And then you quickly browse their documents. You notice one document right there on the desktop, perhaps the only document on the computer that you can actually open. You open it, a text file. A screen full of gibberish numbers and letters greets you. It appears to be encrypted. I would like everyone to assist in this. Please make a hard intelligence check. Or if you have mathematics, you may make that instead.
Not a hard, no.
Which is a
Hard.
Hard.
Where is math? Where even is mathematics in this?
It's just a science
custom.
sub. It's just
Ah, okay.
So I think
I got an 8, so that's a crit.
Lovely.
Hey.
So that's a group pass.
Hey!
You look at the gibberish, and with Stanley's help, you quickly find the cipher, and you decipher it. It translates to only a couple of sentences, but they say 1,000 words. MJ12, Retrieval-Delta, Operation Briefing. Objective 1. Place package into hands of test subject hashtag A01. Objective 2. Observe effects of package on test subject A hashtag A01. Objective 3. When observation attracts outside forces, retrieve package, eliminate witnesses.
Did they unleash this thing to see just what would happen?
That appears to be what it is suggesting, and this utterly sickens you and frightens you at the same time.
Shit.
And with that, the session is concluded.
Damn.
You
We're
return.
back, baby.
You return to the police station, presenting the fingerprints and the bullets and photographs of the bodies and the house as evidence. You were able to construct the following cover story, as you know that what really happened will never be believed. You construct a fabrication of a poor rancher, his sheep getting stolen, the profitability of his ranch going down the drain, eventually blaming the white tourists, government men, and other ignorant racists who prey upon his land and his people, snapping, murdering his family, and then going on a killing spree, taking whatever white men he could find nearby in the vicinity of his farm, exacting his revenge. Your report concludes that he rigged his house to explode, a final fuck you to the government suits who would eventually find him. And in the explosion, all evidence, save for the prints and the bodies you were able to uncover, was destroyed. The prints themselves, they lead to a dead end. You put them into the system for analysis. And while your boss, Agent in Charge Patrick Hobson, does tell you that they pinged something, the moment they did, he received a message. Someone going over his head a warning to not proceed further or lose his job and his reputation. And so, he didn't. The man you saw on the farm, it turns out, being revealed a few days later, was nothing more than a friend of Victorio the Gay, a man by the name of John Rope, who had taken it upon himself to continue feeding the sheep in the absence of his friend, knowing that the authorities would not bother to ensure that the sheep were kept safe and alive. A few days later, after you've allowed the aftermath of the case to run through your head, when you've had just enough time to doubt what you may have seen and begin to believe the cover story you gave, you all receive a call from Stanley. Stanley, you receive a phone call. It is from the same unknown number who called you that night. The female voice states, "I hope you made use of the tip I provided."
Well, we're not dead, so that's a good start.
I'd like for you and your colleagues to meet me at the Hall of Flame Museum of Firefighting in Phoenix at noon. I'll find you, she assures you, before she hangs up. And so, Stanley, you put in a call to all of your colleagues and impart the message. Meet at the Hall of Flame Museum of Firefighting at noon. And so, do you guys heed this message?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, so no one's against it.
Alright.
So, you meet up. You leave the FBI regional headquarters once again. Take out a rental car, the same one you used on that fateful night, and drive it to the firefighting museum. You sign yourselves in, pay for the tickets, and wait. You sit there and wait. Each of you quiet. Everyone too nervous to talk as you examine the replica fire engines, the fire hoses, photographs of the fire brigade putting down famous fires in the city's history. Eventually, you hear someone clear their throat. You turn around and you see walking towards you, stepping out of the shadows between two fire engines, an African-American woman of about 30, dark-skinned, wearing trendy, expensive business clothes, John Lennon-style shades, and long dreadlocks. You can't help but feel that she looks like an executive from a record company. She introduces herself by smiling, waving at Stanley, and saying, "You sound a lot taller on the phone."
Yeah, I totally get that a lot.
She folds her arms, leans back on the front of the fire engine, sizes each of you up, and she says, "Well done. You guys did better than we were expecting, I'll be frank." Does anyone have a response to that?
I don't suppose you want to tell us now who the we is?
She says, "Well, I know who you're thinking of. The idea of government operatives exploiting alien technology might have sounded like bullshit to you a month ago. But you saw what went on that night. You saw what those people were looking for. Look, I'm not with those people, and neither are the others I work for. If it'll make you feel better, you can call me Miss Green." Does anyone
Well,
else have
Green,
any?
what's this all about?
She clears her throat, unfolds her arms, places a hand on her waist, and she says, as she directs your attention to the fire engine on display next to her. People I work with are a lot like the men who used to ride around on these fire engines. We put out fires before anyone can smell the smoke. If you want to be part of this, then say so now. But don't say yes unless you're sure. This is one club you don't get to quit.
Well, if it will lead me any more to the truth, I mean...
Meanwhile, I suspect the rest of you probably have more questions.
I'm just being pulled along for the ride at this point.
Say, what exactly do you and these other guys have in common? Because you seem to know a lot about these guys, where we, despite being where we are, know absolutely nothing.
She smiles, and she stands back against the front of the fire engine, standing with one of her legs arched up against its headlight. She says, yeah, we've tangled a few times. Think of them as the uncle of the intelligence community that no one talks to at the family gathering. She says, in that case, we, and the people I work for, would be the uncle that nobody invites to the family gathering. She says, I'll give you a quick debrief. That orb, you still have it, by the way? She says. Do you pull it out, Stanley, and...
I just pat my pocket and go, yeah, I've been keeping a close eye on it since it basically tried to go nuclear on our asses.
She beckons you with one finger to hand it to her.
I get this back if I hand this over.
She simply smiles. And then she says, you'll see much more like it.
Oh, that's all I need.
She takes it. She says, this is, well, I guess you would call it a spaceship. The entity within it, we dubbed it the Traveler. It arrived in a meteorite, landed in West Virginia. A parasitic organism infiltrates a planet's species by finding a host, slowly adapting them so that it can reproduce and slowly gain a foothold for the rest of its species. She says, of course, our friends in MJ12 did their very best to ensure that someone would find it and fall victim to it, purely because they wanted to know what would happen. She says, we've been tracking this thing ever since it arrived in Arizona, and you may have guessed now it was us who sent the anonymous tip to the FBI.
That'll do it.
She says, I trust you want to know more?
That kind of goes without saying.
She
Would
says,
you like to know more?
She says, picture this. I'll give you the short story. Leave out most of the intricate stuff, but give you most of the pertinent details. The year, 1928. There's a town on the coast in Massachusetts, Innsmouth, a town of unspeakable things. Eventually, someone alerted the government, and the government put together a team, a raid on this town of Innsmouth. The town was destroyed, the unspeakable things locked away. The survivors of that raid went on to found our organization, Delta Green. At first, we were small, didn't have a lot of manpower, resorted to having to get a lot of outsiders to do our dirty work. Then, we recruited an agent, a man by the name of Harkin. He helped us grow, helped our organization go legit, get its tentacles into the existing intelligence agencies, the Bureau of Investigation, the Code Breakers, the OSS, the spooks in the CIA, until eventually our conspiracy had roots in all aspects of the development of the government and the intelligence agency. Delta Green deals with the elimination and obscuration of preternatural phenomena that pose a threat to our citizens and to our country. The existence of these phenomena cannot be allowed to come to the public's attention. The damage to society, both physical and psychological, would be catastrophic. And so, if you want to join us, you'll have to play by our rules. Rule 1 is deny everything. Delta Green does not exist, and neither do preternatural phenomena. Sunday, the time may be right to let out the truth, but that day ain't today. And so, she reaches into her pocket, pulls out a cigarette, and lights it. And then she yawns, looks at each of you in turn, and says, "What'll it be? You in, or are you out?"
Well, we all have our unique skills. What exactly where would we be helping?
She says, "Our organization has use for everybody. FBI agents, code breakers, standard police officers. And you four have already proven you have what it takes. And so, you say yes, you're in, you'll go back to your lives as normal. You'll pretend this never happened, and then one day, you'll receive a call, an invitation to a night at the opera, and then you'll no longer be acting in your normal capacity. You'll be acting as Delta Green agents, engaging in an investigation much like the one you just made it through. And you'll be doing it knowing that you'll be protecting humanity from the things that go bump in the night."
And what's in it for us?
She smiles. The knowledge that you're doing the right thing, and an op bonus. She says, she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a phone or a PDA. She presses a button on it, and then she says, "Your signing bonus. It's just been added to your bank accounts. $100,000 US.
Oh my god. So
I
that
have
was just
one
another
request.
character.
What is your request, Remy?"
I get to dissect any alien bodies that we come across in our investigation.
You have to
Miss-
fight me for those ones, I'm sorry.
Miss Green.
Hey, if you're, I was gonna say, if you get offering out more tech than what we've found so far, then yeah, I didn't even need the money. That's just a bonus. I'm already in.
Miss Green smiles and she winks and she says, "It goes without saying, there'll be plenty of things to dissect, plenty of technology to collect, and a reasonable risk that you'll be dead before 40, but, well, you take what you can get. You've already signed, after all." She begins to turn away, stepping back into the shadow of the two fire engines. She says, "Please, don't try to follow me. I don't want to have to embarrass you by ditching you. But we'll call you. Until then, keep your heads down, keep an eye out for anything out of the ordinary, and stay safe." She turns, looks over her shoulder, and she gives you a strange salute like an OK sign, the circle of her forefinger and thumb raised briefly around her right eye, and she says, "We'll be seeing you." And that is the end of the session. Episode 1, Puppet Shows and Shadow Plays.
Just look over at Temporary and go, "It looks like we'll be working a lot closer, partner."
To this,
Oh, God.
she simply smiles and says, "You got it, partner." Okay, I'm going to get the epilogue music. Okay, so you all survived the first
Yay.
episode of the Delta Green campaign, Puppet Shows and Shadow Plays. And as Miss Green suggested, life quickly returns to normal. The next few months are uneventful, and life at the FBI returns to the humdrum mundanity of day-to-day investigation of cybercrime, fraud, and other things that pose no danger to yourself. For solving the... yes, sorry?
Were we able to get any more from the samples that we sent back, or?
Yes. The samples that you sent back were enough to confirm that what you were dealing with was at least not of this earth. And with that, as per the first rule of your new employment, you quickly disposed of them. And unfortunately, weren't able to look at them for as long as you liked. For solving the disappearances and destroying the Traveller, I would like you all to please gain 1d6 San.
Oh, neat.
Awesome.
Oh, of course.
1.
That's 4, so I'm
3.
almost...
Back up date.
Unfortunately, you do not get bonus sanity, as you were not able to bring back its spaceship intact. And so,
Sorry.
not
My
much
bad.
knowledge can be gleaned from that. However,
That one's me. That one's me. Sorry about that. If it makes you feel any better, I almost died.
however,
Actually.
you each gain 6 skill points that you may assign to any of your skills. And
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
6 skill points that you may assign to any of your skills.
Okay.
And you
Six.
may each gain 1d6 Cthulhu Mythos skill.
Oh, neat.
5.
So 4.
Now, as per your signing... Yep, sorry. Sorry, Remy.
Oh, sorry, I just exclaimed that I got a 6.
Oh, 6 on your... Well, yeah, you
Nice.
really dissected them a lot, didn't you?
Can you add the skill points to Mythos? Or
You
is
can't,
that
no.
specifically? Okay.
You also can't add them to credit rating.
Yep,
And
yep.
No.
so you've been given a
That's
signing bonus of $100,000. Unfortunately, most of this is going to ask questions. Most of this is going to raise questions if you spend it all in one go. So you may add, for now, $1,000 to your held cash. And
Oh, we only had 1,000 to the cash?
you only add 1,000 to the cash, but the rest of the
Okay.
money will be represented by any credit ratings rolls being done with advantage.
Oh, neat.
Ooh.
And between now and the next session, if there's any extra weaponry or any other supplies you would like to pick up, you may feel free to spend the cash you have on hand for them, because knowing that you are now working for Delta Green, you have a feeling that this is just the beginning, and things are going to get a lot scarier.
Okay.
And the agent man.
Yes. Computer Agent Man.
No, hide behind big, thick, athletic man.
Yes. Hide behind big...
Human shield, activate!
And so, with that, our episode comes to an end. I hope everyone watching enjoyed the start of this new campaign, and I hope you'll join us for the next episode in 2 weeks' time, The Last Equation, as
Are
our...
we doing the luck checks? Sorry.
Yes, sorry. Yes, go ahead, everyone do a luck check, and if you fail, you may add
Shit.
1d6 luck.
Aww.
Yeah, 5, yay.
So what if we fail our
Yeah,
luck
if you
check?
fail your luck, then you get
Yeah.
to add 1d6 luck. Because passing it means you have enough luck for now.
Yeah, I got a 50.
Yep.
I passed, so...
Yeah, so
give it.
don't add any luck, so that's
all
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
So, yes, so I hope everyone will tune in 2 weeks' time for episode 2, the Delta Green campaign, The Last Equation, where our heroes, newly minted as Delta Green agents, get sent on the trail of another mass murderer following a mass shooting in the midst of a crowded suburban street, and discover that somebody may have cracked the mathematical equation that defines reality itself.
Ooh. 42.
Ooh, yes, 42, definitely. And they may come face to face with a servitor of Azathoth if they
Oh my
aren't
god.
Wow.
careful.
That sounds like a spoiler to me.
No, that was a preview. Previews are allowed.
Yeah. Mhm.
Next time
And-
on Call of
yeah.
Cthulhu.
And in the meantime, feel free to check us out on Patreon if you think you need to give us some money to get better audio equipment, or you'd just like to support us. And if you'd like to listen to this episode, it will be going up on Spotify later tonight with all the rest of our previous episodes. So, if you'd like to catch up, go ahead and binge them. And I'm talking to you, BCG. Okay, and with that, I will say goodbye. Hope that you join us again for the next horrific case. Bye bye.